Welcome back, everyone, here to the PMCO UK Fall Split of the 2021 season, where, of course, my name is Hindwall, joined once again by Professor Tarzan and beautiful sponsors here as well. Nemo TV, the official media partner of the PUBG Mobile Pro League in 2021 season, and also Xiaomi, where you too can enjoy a super fast and lag-free PUBG Mobile experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G. And Tarzan, we have had now what has been halfway mark for our group stage in the PMCO UK. Now we're going to see Group B and D do battle for a day two's round of games. What are we kind of expecting coming in?
I think it shares, I would say the opening points would be very similar to yesterday, right? So like these teams that are in groups B and D both had their first day of play. So they've still got 2 days to go. After today, we will be 2/3 through, right? But they still have that issue when it comes to difference in groups from stage 1 and 2, so different maps. So in particular, Miramar, we talked about that already. So both, like all these 16 teams haven't got the chance now when it comes to playing a more northern type of playing path for Miramar. And when it comes to Erangel, we say that maybe we've got more of a western zone, like for day 2, so that will be Group D, right? But Group B have a little bit of a different one, so a bit more equal. So when it comes to hiding those drop spots, maybe Group D can do a little bit better than Group B.
And of course, as we do move through to a little bit about our tournament here, Tarzan, and I want to also kind of mention what we're kind of expecting from Group A and C, now coming in Group B and D. I'm very surprised actually the way it worked out, because when we looked at Group C initially, in that first day of play, they looked insanely good. But now coming in to that second day, they looked a little bit shaky, actually, considering that, yes, they had a Group A alongside them, but they didn't look the same dominance that we saw coming through from them.
I still think, though, like when it comes to the overall performance, Group C are still just that little bit better when it comes to overall points. But let's look at the format for the tournament right now. We are going to see, of course, basically half of these 32 teams should progress to that final. And but you know what? We are a little bit more harsh this time because we've got 2 teams being rescued and Gaijin Seraphim already in the final after participating in PMPL Season 1. So out of all these 32 teams, 14 of them will progress.
And of course, only then after the 14 progress and join Rescue and Gaijin Seraphim in those finals, Tarzan, only that top 1 team can advance through to PMPL Season 2 EU West, of course, to join both the rest of Nico Defense League and also both LAC and Nostra MVP in that competition later this year. I think, to be said, it's going to be very tight, the competition, but I also want to get into a little bit of nitty-gritty and talk also about how these points were garnered, because a lot of those points yesterday and how teams were able to climb did come through from big kill games from a few of those teams.
Yeah, I think it's actually quite insane. When we talk about a team like Born for Victory that had 26 placement point but 47 kill points, like that amount of kill points itself would place them currently at 13th place. And that's just quite crazy. So we can see the meta may be changing. I can't exactly say that. It's just allow different styles of play where placement points aren't rewarded as heavily as in the past.
And as well, when you look, of course, to that consistency in match points as well as kill points, there are teams, I think, who have been finding that success. But rightly, as you mentioned, of course, it is those who are more aggressive of finding their foothold inside the top of our scoreboard. And as we also move through to that prize pool to see who will earn the top at the top of that scoreboard, will be $4,000 for that first place team, if they can grab themselves in the final, that first place team. But also, everyone, as we say, is a winner here on the PMCO UK Fall Split, because everyone earns at least $500 just for participating.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, after all, you want to make it to like top 16 this time around, and because when we talk about those top 16 already, like now that I think about it, I'm going to. We actually need to clarify this. We talked about maybe 14 out of these 32 teams will make it to the finals because we've got 2 in there already. But when it comes to making it to Finals 14, but prize pool a little bit of that difference as well. So we need to find out for you guys, because if you just miss that mark, you may still be able to get $300 more compared to the bottom half out of these 32 teams, right? But you know what? That separation when it comes to prize pool is not quite like significant. So I'd say it would be the prize and the representation that we're fighting for here. Like after all, like this is the PMCO where teams really just get a good result and stay and try to stay together, and then you build that synergy snowball, build the brand as well. So I hope they're here to stay.
I think for sure we want to see that progression of the same players. We want to see that progression of teams being able to say, well, even if they don't perform in this competition specifically, going into the next year and into the 2022 season, they're able to reform themselves and readjust into future competitions. But this competition, albeit we look at the schedule here and we break down exactly who will be playing what when it is the Erangel sandwich. Here once more with us, Erangel, Sanhok, Miramar, and Erangel for groups B and D, as we said, facing in tonight. We will see, of course, groups A and C later on in this weekend, as well as group B and D. Keep in mind, they still have to face a third day of play after this. So, yes, they do have 4 more games after this series of 4 tonight, but I think what we can be saying is here that it is very important and pivotal that teams do grab themselves these points in today, so we don't have to risk later on.
Yeah. And you know what, like I still have to, I feel like I still need to put some money on the teams from Group D there, because I think when it comes to like that first day of play, like from all these teams, like groups C and D did quite a lot better, I have to say. And now that we've got some very strong teams, we talked about synergy, like 777 Esports, they've got some like synergy building even from the last split. And then we've got Cyrex Esports. Yes, not having their best game, but, coming in stronger as well. Like I believe in their tenacity, shall I say that, and most wanted, also experience as well. So I think Group D, with the previous performance as well as experience, and the experience that can funnel into, I'd say, preparation work as well, may give them a little bit of an edge. But we will need to find out after a little bit of a break, because you know what, we are just getting ready.
My goodness, Grace. I got so story before we come back. The reason this time was because I literally had a dog come up just before the break. So no barking, that's why we muted. But actually, in all extensive purposes, I'm a little bit of a big brain right now because I kind of forgot to actually unmute. So, or small brain. I don't even know what I'm talking about, to be honest. It's already pretty late in the night, and I'm just getting carried by Tarzan. That's what's happening here in the PMCO UK Fall Split 4 games tonight.
Haven't even said anything yet, but speaking of carry, like we actually, have some of these teams, like compared to yesterday, we have teams that don't have as much of a defined carry player. Like I feel like in the teams yesterday, like through the 2 days that they played, they've got sometimes one player who would just take most of the kills of the team. Of course, we didn't have those damage charts, so it's really hard to say that. But that aside, we will see groups B and D today, and I think they are pretty stacked still.
Oh, and now as we jump also into, I think, these teams, and we get into what will be this first game, Tarzan, I kind of want to also note that, well, yes, we've seen what Group A and C can offer, but I'm really looking forward to actually what 777 Esports from Group D, if any team, can offer here, because personally, they look insane when it came to their plays and being able to still stay inside that top page of the leaderboard as we do jump in.
Yes, and you know what? Like, I actually am going to bet money on them. No, actually, I shouldn't say that, but you know what? They have been doing well, and I wish that they can continue because we're still looking for that consistent team in this tournament.
And of course, as we do jump through into the playing path, and do you know what I miss? I feel we should start today, Tarzan, is where these playing paths are going. Do you remember back to the eons of the spring split where we used to try pretend we knew and we were really smart big brain boys trying to guess where the playing path would go before the map appears?
Well, I think that's actually a very good game. We should continue with that. But this time around, I feel like we've seen this playing path before as well. We talked about how in day 2 of this tournament in group stage, so groups C and D, they had a pretty Western type of playing path for both Erangel games. So this will be a little bit of a repeat for Group D. So that means that they may be a little bit more practiced when it comes to that. But like we actually will see a little bit of a situation here because look at that Southern Island, right? So we've got Cyrex heading there, 777 Esports also heading towards that side. The storyline would be between maybe Cyrex's Cable as well as Londa from 777 Esports because they played under Cyrex, the same team in PMNC earlier this year or this month. So like it will be a bit of a guessing game. I don't know whether it's like just a bit of a feud like at this point, but we need to find out what's going on. And what's going on as well would be that Phase 1 circle. I feel like we've seen a Gatka circle for so many times recently that I think the system is a little bit bugged, but I can't really say that. But this time around, it's so empty and it's so interesting to find out how teams are going to enter into the circle.
This is what really shocks me about how open that middle part of the map is, because every single game we jumped on Erangel, Gatka has been actually hotly contested in the early games. So something that I think teams, they're trying to adapt, they're trying to change how they play, but by changing, you can see, I think, what could be a little bit of a downfall of some of these squads, albeit we do have, of course, Crazy Killer Risk, but also the rest of Yemen up against it. And for Yemen, they look like we're in a little bit of trouble here, Tarzan, as Alan will strike first. The Uzi will pick up the first knock, but for Crazy Killer Risk up, they still have a little bit more work to do. One knock also against Ms. Mizagi, strikes one straight back.
And you know what, like these early action is lovely, especially when they are between a Group B and Group D team. And that is going to be quite interesting because we talked about studying, we talked about predictions, we talked about potentially even adjusting your whole split or drop because of these contention. But this time around, we can see still a lot of weird clump ups like on that map. Like maybe they just want to like take this fight, maybe they're so confident. But round here, this time is going to test a lot of those gun skills as well as those support and the efficiency coming through. This time Yemen actually will get the second one down. Risk going too close against this one, and I think those early skills when it comes to, you know, delegating those tasks to look at a particular segment of the map in that particular split are so important, and Risk might not have done that homework as well as we want them to, so it will be a 2-for-1 at the moment.
An example as well, another one of these squads where I think we look back to previous competitions, Tars, and an example UK, of course, one of those more aggressive teams. And I think we mentioned coming in, of course, how aggression is going to translate to potential victory for what has been the case so far, the story in the PMCO UK. But I also wonder how some of the teams like example here, the exception where, yes, they have been previously aggressive, but this time around, they're not exactly standing very tall above the rest, like they did in the group stage of PMNC. If we give a little bit of hot take, and now I want to see how we can improve, because the first day, as we do look back, wasn't that great overall as a performance.
Yeah, you know what? There's something that will indicate sometimes the level of preparation for some of these teams or how good they are. Because we always talk about how important it is to have vehicles early game. Like now that we've got two teams around Rozhok, or those compounds between Rozhok and Yasnaya, like that is so highly contested usually because they've got good vehicles, split loot, and all that stuff. But to also have one team in school apartments and the other one in school, vehicle become a very tricky issue for these teams. Let's just say that they don't take any action upon each other, it's still going to be such high competition and demand, for those cars. And seems like some of these teams have not dropped on cars, and I personally dislike that a lot. Like when you really need to get out of a situation, when you don't have that luck in the loot, you need that vehicle to get out. And sometimes if you've done your homework, you would know whether you're landing on a vehicle in a very safe manner. So this time around, these teams really need to step up their game.
I feel that definitely, of course, as we said, day 2 is the pivotal time, and I think you've struggled to really, if you can not make those points happen in day 2, to really pick yourself up in day 3, because I think there were those shocks yesterday when we looked for the example of, I think, both Arena 51 and also TRG Direction. They did really struggle when it came to grabbing those points in yesterday's games, and I think that is going to hinder them. But I'm wondering who will also fall down here, because with others falling down in Group A and C, actually it does provide, if teams can be consistent here, the opportunity, well, there's 2 less spots we have to worry about, because if they've already played 8 games and we're ahead of them at this point, we should be way ahead of them by the end of our 8 games too.
Yeah, and you know what? Adjustment is also another big word, right? We talk about it all the time, but I'm also a huge advocate when it comes to making adjustments when they are practical. You can't do so much that you're losing your usual ways, your strengths, and all that stuff, your style. But when you have more experience, when you are when you've tested different styles, when you rotate between teams, when you have had a decently long career in this game, you should do that better. So that was actually a comment that really directed towards who we saw on the screen right there. Most Wanted is a team that likes, kind of avoiding some of those early action if they can. I want to see them to use their railgun skills and the map awareness or the synergy to play more of a sweeping style, right? Come in from one side and be very ready to react to neutral fights, take them, win them, build up, and then really go strong towards that late game. That is one style that I'm waiting to see from them that I haven't seen yet.
And for Red and Black here as well, another one of those teams. And do you know what I feel like? I'm coming in here, I'm like a little bit of Debbie Downer right now. I need to pick myself up, Tarzan. But I mean, I do want to see more from these teams. I think, to be fair, in my own defense, the Red and Black were also one of these teams who I'm really looking for more. And when you do take a positive spin on it, I think that is exciting to see what teams can bring if they haven't had such a great performance first day. If they can step up, an example stepping up here is Foreign Union as well. Could be a little bit of bother here as they do start to strike on the opposite end of the room. A grenade will be chucked, in fact, a stun grenade at that, and now forcing Foreign Union back. But when you look at the positions of FU, they are actually much further a split compared to example. I think this could harm them.
I think it could harm them because it's also not close, to the more center parts of the circle. And we talked about how punishing Gatka can be. Yesterday, those teams who got to some priority position to set up first, they were able to keep more members alive as well as farm some kills. So to hang around here isn't the best choice, especially when you've got a high amount of team in the surroundings as well. We talked about Rozhok, we talked about closer to Yasnaya, and if they really take these action at a weird time as well, there's a huge chance for third party, and we haven't even talked about availability of vehicles.
And as well, when we look towards this availability of vehicles, Tarzan, I want to kind of mention and hint towards, well, how do teams rotate around to potentially what could be a second shift in positions on the second shift? I do have to hold my tongue here because, example, UK, they are continuing to push a little bit further in here, but they do not want to go all the way. And this is a concern as well. When you start to drag these fights out, the rest here, example, maybe they start to fall behind in their own positioning because as you can see in the background, Most Wanted, for all intents and purposes, are going to potentially strike. But it's strike, Kindboy will do, and that's what we wanted to see. We wanted to see that aggression, and Kindboy takes at least one of the fight, and it just felt like Foreign Union, they never really expected that.
You know what? Like that's also what I expect from example UK as well. They've been showing so much aggression, especially from Naka as they try to do that again. But that pre-fire actually got outclassed by the side of Kelvin there. Like just using that cover for longer as well, and will try to return that fire. And that cover fire coming from Naka is very important to stop the thirst. We need a lot more in the skirmish though. It's going to be a little bit of a scrappy fight. The blue zone is slowly going to engulf all this, and that will be 2 going over to example UK so far.
And Foreign Union, Kelvin with the Uzi, but can they find it? No, the micro Uzi will be not enough. And Naka now takes them through and will grab down the second kill. And this is again the problem we talked about, is Foreign Union being split, unable to close together a successful fight if they do get turned upon. And that's what I love about example, is even though they were slow to the uptake, they were actually consistently all together. And yes, Kindboy did kind of split, but it was only going to be a short split where actually the rest of example still could have followed up in the event that Kindboy did actually get knocked.
Ooh.
However, this is what we also talked about with Most Wanted coming in from behind and giving up positioning, maybe looking for those kills, but instead Most Wanted will turn towards the zone as that second phase has turned on.
You know what? I actually like the attempt to come in to maybe grab something. The problem would be how you want to do that. Like you need to come in from the right angle. You need to drive at the right distance from the compounds as well. I like talking about this. The vehicle sound rendering distance is actually extremely tricky to master if you haven't properly experienced it. So you can see the sort of Most Wanted, and I love this. They drove away to maybe give them a little bit of false sense of security, and they're going to grab something right here. Especially when they scouted this, they've noticed how empty it is around, being they are needing to go on foot as well. An example team being so aggressive before and got some decent plays from first day. This is not the type of mistake they want to make. They want to finish this quite early, and to be fair, they've been doing this a bit too slow already. They know it's the last guy up, and that is just now down to them to take back the control because they are being surrounded.
And now, unfortunately, the Foreign Union will have to readapt into the next match in Sanhok because it will fall through. For example, as we mentioned, Kindboy getting now knocked by Most Wanted also were in the vicinity. So with that knock, do their Most Wanted, potentially they could start to make that dive on into school as well. And now is here also Kurt Victory up towards the north side of Georgia Pold versus RLX. And I think, again, this is actually one of those crucial fights that I really am interested to see early on, because both of these teams, when we looked at those statistics yesterday, they are both on the bottom end of that leaderboard.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the way that they play the game, like it would make sense as well. And this is actually extremely interesting. Most want to apply pressure, not just from long range. They want to wrap this up a little bit quicker as well. And they're now just coming in with that opening knock. We'll need a lot more though against a team that knows how to play at this segment of the map. It would take a lot more than just pure aggression. And this is about time because we have the Nick shift coming on. And that's even more punishing for those teams who don't get to those far positions early enough.
An example, unfortunately, as we said, Most Wanted to come in. I think this is brilliant aggression coming through from Most Wanted, because this type of adaptation on the rotation is what we want to start to see from these teams in this journey of Most Wanted now starting to be that aggressive squad, starting to really come together. I mean, they have been Ads, Hardman, and 12 together since Spring Split. Only Topspin is this new addition to their roster. but albeit still example down to 2 players. Now Blue Zone is going to start to hurt Tarzan as well. It is phase 3 as well, and that is why Most Wanted, they are struggling to push because they are having to stop and heal every period of time.
And you know what, like the issue with this as well is also amount of loot, and that M249 is also a huge issue because they've got that flip side, and Naka's been so strong in this tournament, the trades come through, and that will be so important for Most Wanted.
And now it's only going to be Most Wanted on the downside as Captain and Rekko to come in, sandwich him from behind. Captain coming in, Rekko from the other. And Most Wanted, they fall down despite they went for the engage. They'll be regretting their decision. As example, UK now up to 7 kills. And I think, and I feel that even if example fall down 7 points in this game alone from kills, that's pretty darn worth.
I mean, they've only got through with 7 kills because they eliminated the team. You know what? I appreciate the attempt by Most Wanted, but when you are very proactive to the fight, when there is a clock ticking, you are forced to make, you know, some moves. Like, you're forced to play proactive, and someone else can stay completely still and react to you, and it's going to take so much more in such a complex building on the map. Like, to be fair, if I were them, I would just retreat to somewhere to wait them to get out, get 1 or 2 confirmed kills, and then walk away from there. Like, you can say even more, like, if you've scouted properly to notice this low amount of vehicles as well, farm them closer to the zone, right? But that is a little bit of the change that's coming through that almost works. So we'll give them that. Like, hopefully they can bounce back strong as well. So we're just down to 14 teams. And it's actually crazy to know that already lost 16 players in this lobby so early on.
I mean, that all comes down to the aggression, particularly around school and apartments. I am surprised to see because, yes, it was going to be open. Yes, teams were going to look to potentially rotate, seeing through on the parachute that maybe they did notice there weren't going to be so many players dropping in that location. However, I also feel that it is just down to early rotation, potentially unnecessary rotations in phase 1, where teams maybe could have taken it a little bit slower.
Yeah, I think when it comes to what seems to be the case right now, a lot of teams are still not so confident, and when it comes to, you know, maneuvering through the map. I don't know whether it's because they haven't studied the enemies enough, or they are just still a little bit slow, you know, entering like today's games. I find that extremely interesting, but you can see there's certain teams who we expect them to play decisive already taking those spots. Champion Gaming is one of those teams that surprised us, and they're now on Everest. 777 Esports taking one of the strongest squad house as well on that north to Everest. So like those will be very commanding. You can really funnel like teams away from certain spots, and it will be down to these teams to take maybe the second most OP spots and say, you know what, by being here, teams will come into us because they can't get to the most OP spots. So they start thinking, almost drawing on that minimap with that mental picture. It's one of those skills that is almost too hard to teach, Highland Wolf.
Yeah, I feel that that is just something that comes down with experience and playing through these competitions and being more of those veteran players. But I think then you also see that, in a way, surprise coming through from some of these new players still stepping up. And I think that's what we have seen through this tournament so far again. But players from unexpected teams have been that aggressive squad, have been that successful series of teams who can get the points, can see themselves on the top of the leaderboard as well. Here as we dip down towards now what is been our 4th phase, we're heading again towards that northern end of Everest and in towards those bridges. This is where I love this position coming into Cyrax, because they're not on the south side of that Georgia Paul crate yard, but they're actually in those houses just before. So not only do we have to not worry about being in a crease and getting caught from flank sides, but we actually have the really strong position where we can take advantage, as you can see, of all of these teams moving in around them.
Yeah, you know what? I think this is probably the next best thing that they can get compared to this compound that has a more defined, you know, protection for the vehicles, because this is the problem of this compound, right? You may just lose all the tires of your cars, and you just still need them to get out of that situation against like all these teams that are stacked in South Georgia Port, as well as against that whole hill that you wish that you have a car to get up and not by feet. And that's going to be a little bit of a team that we almost forgotten about, like Restov alongside South of Triple are here to try to claim this away from Champion Gaming. If you think about the whole lobby and who could possibly do this with brute force, I think Triple would be one of them.
And Champion Gaming as well, stepping up. And think when it comes to their aggression, one of these more aggressive squads, Triple Sports Club, we thought they could come in as that. I mean, they were, of course, formerly Courage. They were, of course, formerly the team where you were seeing them dominate through the entirety of the UK period. But I think now, coming in from PMNC, they feel like a different team. I feel like they still have something to prove when it comes to that consistency. Something we did always kind of hint and question at. Could they be as consistent a team? And I think we're now seeing it in the case where they do fall up into potentially harder teams in the PMNC Finals, now coming into PMCO UK. They do start to struggle.
They just needed quite a lot more points. Like, to be fair, it was not terrible like how they did that, but the momentum from this game is important. We all saw how Triple can kill almost the whole lobby, like from PMNC, if they get a good start. But saying that Yemen Esports won't be getting the start that they wanted, I still remember them getting a very decent game one when they first appeared on stage, but this time it won't be that case. This time round, it will continue with the trade, actually Champion Gaming with the advantage right now, 2-0, although they've lost Yaya already.
Unfortunately, now with Yaya down, Yaya out, Champion Gaming moving that pushing for the rest here. Triple, they're on the back foot. Now in a little bit of trouble is David. Back for now, and Champion Gaming not willing to push too hard. Yes, they found a knock, but want to find that better positioning. iCode as well coming in for the backside. So Triple, they did be a little bit when it comes to it, because it could easily start to get third-partied.
You know what, like, and actually crazy to see the types of teams that got eliminated so far. They are just tend to be those who like slow rotations, like run to edge in the whatnot. Little do they know that that doesn't really allow that. Also is not allowed is to drive on top like that, and Triple will turn the tides.
And they needed that quick fight. I mean, look at David. David's already down. It was actually Gaming not interested in the fight, but they were very interested with that knock. Very something to see the champion not willing to take that fight, even though they had that advantage. As now Sports Club, they continue to move down. They may have still taken a little too long. Whereas now, of course, phase 5 has hit. The mountain no longer safe, and we come down into what is going to be more of his open courtyard finish.
Yes, and I mean, this shift away is so punishing, and if you're a team from above, you really want to enter in a segment that you kind of know is clear, as well as just timing it perfectly. The really blunt type of push will be so hard, and this dip here, like with the experience coming through, like Triple is using it decently, and that is so important to notice that it's there, so you don't feel like you need to go all the way in.
It's now around the craze. This road concerns me, Tarzan, because yes, teams have been able to get downstairs from the mountain, but how do you get across that road? Because it's so open. Yes, there is a little bit of a shack here inside the zone, but I could already control that. Triple, they're going to really darn struggle to get into safety once more, because they're already on the edge. Yes, you could, I think, look to what is going to be this hard shift around the south side, but even then, there's still 10 teams available, and because you can see that all going to be stuck still on that south side as well. I mean, even red and black still there over towards that south side, even if you wanted to take that flank rotation, Cyrax as well.
Oh, you know what? Like, we had enough open finishes on Erangel. This time around, we'll get not exactly a city finish, but let's get a crate finish. It's almost like a TDM map, and that is going to be quite interesting, especially when you can go up to those. Should I call them crates? Should I just call them construction poles? I don't even know what they're called. It's just a. Wait, I'm just going to call them a high ground, okay? But if you can get up to those huge, tall metal thingy, that can get you so many kills, I reckon.
Oh, it so can. If you can get that high ground, I think that's what you're really looking for these teams to take advantage of. However, there is that downside, of course. If you do get caught, you do get spied upon by what is still going to be 27 other players inside the lobby. If you, assuming you are a solo player in that team, you start to really struggle because there are going to be multiple sight lines, and it does then get hard to just find that one angle that you are safe from, because it doesn't exist, as I could as well, trying to find that angle in, but as smoke does not not defend and instead gives way to Triple Sports Club who enters into the crate yard. How that is possible, I will still be yet to believe as Triple now make their way, their push inside. Red and Black still alive, yes, but they move into the zone themselves. In the warehouse, going to be contested, going to be looked at hard as now Cyrax also wanted to come in. The rest of Triple, they're going to maybe potentially lose one, as it will be Zaza, but Triple is took down to a Cyrax, but not before Crazy Killer risk up, and iCurd will fall down first.
You know, a just tricky zone. Like, it's about, once again, trigger discipline. We talked about footsteps as well. Just knowing when to move or when to not move, it's so important. And you wish you hot dropped here a little bit more when we first had the game, right? When this first released, just go to South Georgia Pool. Like, if you build that knowledge from now, maybe you would just get those advantage. We're not just talking about these small alleys. It's which particular crate allows you to go inside. So this will be quite an elongated game, I believe, and this is great news for the side of Red and Black because they are kind of off center, and as a team of trio, that is so important to get some points.
Team of Trio indeed is here now. Triple, they still need to find a way inside. We still need to get into that zone, but who also interests me is actually coming off of Erangel and a previous chicken dinner in day 2, Spill. And for Spill, actually, who were a team I was questioning, but then it came to that final match in Erangel, and they are alive once again with 3 kills, really stepped up.
I think this is just a very bold clash into this area, and you know what, like, I would take that back. I don't know how they got in here, but they've got the numbers right now, but is it just very hard to predict who's going to take this chicken? It will be down to the smallest things and to the zone a lot as well. And we are down to 40 seconds for this phase. And then everyone needs to think about how to move. It's not just the time to think about smoking yourselves. More importantly, it will be maybe laying some aggressive smokes to really choke down those sightlines of the enemies in the circle. Like, it will be down to the timing of those smokes. We talked about the physical properties of these smokes, those 10-meter diameter with 40 seconds of cover. Every second counts. You don't want to waste any for this type of finish on this map.
And Curd Victory, they are now in trouble because look at the amount of smokes they've expended just to get inside into the next form of craze. I do love the fact that they make that a slightly wider wall. It means it's a lot harder to catch out players. But even though they lose one, they get a rest inside. They maybe even do find that revive overall. But still, we mentioned, here comes a grenade. Will confirm. Sure, no, actually, not going to confirm through Wexa. Does sneak by just in the nick of safety here is now Akar on the back end, and now the rest of Spill. They do look to continue to push, though. They do want these kills. However, they can't really contest, of course, every movement they make. Tarzan will lead to potentially a backstab, a third party from the outside.
And you will see a lot of so-called slipping when it comes to in these parts, right? We talk about setup, we talk about who's watching who. It's not just moving a 2 more step to look through a different window. You need to find a different alley so that you can guard that. You can see Spill allowed that to come through as well. So there will be more teams to be able to slip through the cracks, not just teams, but maybe just solos coming in. And Arena 51 needs this. They are at the bottom of the table, but will not be the case anymore after this game. At least that's what I believe.
While it's still 16s alive, those placement points aren't quite high just yet. They do need to take a couple more placements to get up there when it comes to the points in this game. As Curd Victory, they did still, of course, keep their run in this game alive, and by doing so, more importantly, they do cut away Arena 51's chances because they are the next wall that Arena 51 has to come across. As that zone, phase 7 switches to phase 8, and it's only going to be another 50 seconds before these teams have to move in. Unfortunately, Prince, but Cyrax is that solo player, there's nowhere really else to go, and that zone has shifted away from them. Spill are moving up onto Triple as they too will struggle.
And I actually love this game. Like, how I don't think I've seen a South Georgia Pool finish in such a long time. It's just so unique, and I love it. The Sanhok Triple, though, is making a little bit of a different game plan, and that is A little bit risky, I'd say, but especially for those who still need to cross in. But you split your bets for a good reason, then you shall be rewarded. The side of Spill actually will be rewarded for their positioning as well, which say the luck is on their side. These footsteps, these audio cues, and your sensitivity to it are so key because spraying through smokes, if you can do that properly, is going to get you so much advantage.
Reznov as well inside the smoke. The spray comes through, but Kelly Boy doesn't find them. Triple, they are still alive. Not so much can be said, though, for Wexer as Prince will fall down. Or Vince does take Wexer down overall. And with knock, Arena 51, they are looking for that flush. They do find one. Bio will only get knocked over themselves. And Xerox, they do find a spray just in time. Curve Victory falling down, but surprise, there's someone in that crate. Xerox now gets a jump scares. David comes straight back out. Champion Gaming to switch through, but it with switch punished hard as Arena 51, and they too fall to Spill. Spill up to 4 kills, make it now 5 potentially as Prince also falls a triple. A full squad. But can they take this game to the victory? Still Spill, a 4-man, but Spill have the advantage. And they now take a definite advantage down. Albi out, make it a second as Reznov will fall, and Spill take the victory.
Man, it just happened so quick. It was the zone as well as all those, crates stopping some players from, getting in, and all these like small things just went down so quick. But what else would we expect from this type of circle? It's actually insane. Like how you got into this crate and you realize, oh crap, I can't get out without using some meds, and I have none. I almost had a heart attack like watching some of those like last skirmishes when people just run into a crate and feel like someone's there. Like, I almost screamed right into my mic. I'm glad that I didn't do that, but you know what? Let's look at the match ranking to see how that changed up the leaderboard in a very short while. It will be Spill taking the second chicken dinner of this PMCO Fall Split.
2 times on Erangel. I think this Spill really starting to make a name for themselves. 2 out of 3 so far for them. Can he make it 3 out of 4 later tonight? Can he get another chicken dinner on another map? Albeit, they are certainly rising. And I think for Spill, who I think won rightly so, correct me if I'm wrong, were really quite, if not at the bottom of the leaderboard, really coming into that third, particularly that 4th match here on day 1. Or day 2 for them. Now, actually, you've got to think, Spill with that win, they'll be way up there as well when it looks towards maybe that second or even that first page.
They are at a pretty solid position, I would say. Like, I know it's really down to 2 huge wins, but sometimes that's all you need. Like, if you can get some points here and there, and they played it pretty decently as well, and they're happy to see some bounce back coming from Cyrex as well. Yes, we're down to those solo plays, but there's the attempt to control some of those early like compounds was just so important. And most ones have got 3 points. I think let's not go. I think it's down to them to go back and think like what happened, but like something they are attempting to do might do them good like for the rest of the night. Let's just place it that way. And you know what, so many surprises coming through from this game one, and I just can't wait to look at that leaderboard, because like for one thing today I can't do any math and I don't want to do any. And so let's see how that's going to work out. But what a great game one.
I mean, as well, there, the only missing team was actually Foreign Union. They also grabbed 0 points. Remember, they fell down over in the school earlier on. But all for now this first match coming through, Spill, they're going to be riding high momentum. You do see, I think, also Triple to them as well, being able to step up in that first match. Interesting as we now head through to Sanhok, Tarzan, how these teams are going to be able to perform, because I feel that actually heading into the jungles, it is going to be more aggressive, and we're looking to see how these aggressive teams can continue to play through. I think you also have to note back to the likes of, for example, UK, who, yes, they failed on earlier on, but we also picked up 7 kills through that game from kills alone.
It's actually quite insane. Like I almost feel like I don't want teams to be rewarded for very tunneled, game plans. Like they drop somewhere, they haven't considered vehicles early enough. They just want to push, and then they didn't really have an escape strategy. They kind of have a bucket on one side, but that was not enough if you really drag that out, and suddenly you just stranded yourself. But someone came in an unexpected way. You somehow killed them by the sliver of health, and you have a huge amount of points to kind of buffer it. So I expect more from this team, since they are just one out of 3 teams who are still in top 16, having just played 4 days, right? But now that we're adding some games to these 2 groups today, things are going to change.
Yeah, for sure. As now we head through to the second game, we'll hit through to a short break, but we'll be with you back very shortly. Welcome everyone back to the PMCO UK Fall Split 2021 season. Of course, my name is Wolf, joined by Professor Tarzan alongside me, and of course to our beautiful sponsor Xiaomi, where you can enjoy a super fast and lag-free PUBG mobile experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G. And is, I think, just a powerful result coming through from Spill once more, as we mentioned, coming through to the break. 2 out of 3 games in Erangel they have won. Yes, they haven't looked so neat on Sanhok or Miramar, but Erangel is like a different beast for them.
Yes, and it's so important to be a beast on that map because we've got so many of them, and they would get to do that again today. I don't know whether that would be a great thing, we always say we want these teams to be challenged by a different type of circle, a different type of playing path. So we'll leave that until the last game. But right now we have Sanhok, and you know what? Very, very different, and I think it's also different because of the size of a map and how that allows these teams to prepare in a lot of detail, I should say. And I want to see something that comes from that, because I wouldn't say they haven't prepared. That's why we saw these crazy clusters in game 1. Maybe they just want to fight, but game 2 we'll need to see what they want to do.
I think for game 2 is definitely going to be decisive in how they can transfer that success from Erangel over to Sanhok and Miramar. As we said, they haven't had those performances. You look back to day 2 of play, they really did struggle to pick up any points in those maps. So if they cannot do that, yes, they're doing well in Erangel, but they're only doing well in half the maps, and that's not good enough, I would argue, to be able to get inside that top 14 when actually you have to beat over half of the teams. So when it comes to actually that consistency, that's what we're looking for. I think to consistency, I'm actually really interested in looking at how 777 managed this, because was a game they were still on the top side of that leaderboard. They still made it through to the later stages of that match. But again, they have actually, despite only playing now 5 games, still put themselves on the first page of that leaderboard. So they are, if any team really, can actually have the opportunity to overtake all of those teams from Group A and C and be top at the end of the day.
Yeah, you know what? I give up on fighting the maths. I will do the maths. Okay, guys, they've got 74 points right now after that game. So they will be sat at 5th place just from that performance so far. And we talked about the maybe psychology coming through in how you get those points. So they've got 9 points that game earlier, not the best placement point being 1, but that means they've got 8 kills. And for a team that has a great balance between those kill points and placement points, they are doing good, and I think they can still continue. I wouldn't say that's a slump at all. Sometimes those circles and those games happen. So I still have high hopes on them, but there's still a little bit of those changes coming through. Some of these teams bouncing back, teams trying new things. So I can't wait to see this game to Wolf.
Of course, as we do move through to Sanhok, and again, a note and a nod to our sponsors, Xiaomi, where you can, of course, enjoy a super fast and lag-free PUBG mobile experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G. As you saw on that screen, how beautiful a phone it is, and how beautiful a map this is, Tarzan, because this is my favorite time of the night, where we jump back into the jungle. We get a little bit of menace, we get a little bit of malice here, because this is where the zone, I wish it to just go for once into the ocean. Do you know, in my career of casting PUBG, I have never had it go into a full ocean zone.
You know what? When you said, okay, God, I've got a new almost business idea. Once you just said that, you said you like Sanhok so much, I almost want to, create, just buy a piece of land somewhere on Earth and design it exactly like this map, and that would be so sick. Someone should do that and then invite us over to there. And this time around, we actually have a more, I shouldn't say respectful, but just more evenly distributed drop location right here in distribution. I think that Northwestern Island is still more populated than we expect them to be, so it's going to be interesting, but nothing's as interesting as this 2 top squads against each other. When we talk about experience, maybe the side of Triple will be slightly more experienced than 777 Esports. When it comes to results, it's definitely on the side of 777 right now.
only one triple can succeed here in
Yes.
Sanhok. And of course, 777, when you look at their positioning, this is how we start to break down these fights. And 777, they are slightly further behind when it comes to being a wider split. However, they do have that advantage when they have the exits covered. Triple Sports Club for themselves, it's going to get confusing, by the way, talking about triples. But like, Triple Sports Club, they are more in towards the center. So actually for them, yes, they've got to cover the warehouses, but they don't actually have an exit strategy if something goes wrong.
I think it's going to be so interesting here. I think Boss's position is so key for him to know how to stay silent, but at the same time get close enough to grab info. Because like for the other side, 777 Esports can maybe set up some traps, and so based off that information fed in by the side of Boss, and so that's going to be quite hard as well. Now that they're more clumped up, but you are exactly right. I think being on that eastern side allowed 777 to easily escape, maybe via the bridge, and without getting punished either. But Boss needs to do his job from this end, which is extremely hard if you know how far apart they actually are. So 777 Esports need to use a little bit of those, geographical, or should I say structural strength when it comes to the city, like those roof that you can get up to would get you some very important elevation when you don't have a particular weak side when your back is facing the ocean towards north.
Oh man, and now for the rest, I think a triple. I like that the way they are continuing to split here. I like that they separate into this 2-2, and they have the two members in the backside, understanding that there could be a flank coming through from 777. However, they do need to be careful because 777, they are on that move. And I think, yes, they are making a lot of sound cues, and this is where something in particularly Reznov is taking account of, and where the positions then of 777 actually are. And you saw that grenade go through. Had there actually been a knock, I think the Triple Sports Club were able then to probably find a nice push through if they're going behind the buildings, behind the sightlines of Boss. However, because that isn't a knock, it only gives away the position of Reznov and actually Triple Sports Club. So then the information power goes back towards 777 Esports.
Absolutely correct. I just love the way that you broke that down there. It will be about the patience when it comes to the knock. If you can make it a confirmed knock, you will need to force 777 to almost trade, because crossing into that building where UV was so tricky, and he actually just entered through there when he had just caught Triple Sports Club off guard and just got into there without being punished. That's one of the most highly punishable alleys in that city, but he made it through, and now it's going to be quite interesting. It will be back to that chessboard. We need to think about this chess game, and Londa trying to get onto the roof would be nice if he can do it for the first time round, but I do believe that he can get back on there, but the question will be, can they find the best timing to execute whatever they want to, because they've got some distance to cover. It's not just pure because of that 200 meters. It's who's going to be sharing these land further down south on this northwestern island. Oh god.
Just get out new positions here. Oh, I'm back. Is now, I think, to be fair, looking towards triple. Naz now falling down. And Boss in a little bit of a problem here. Septives as well. Reznov, too, going to be on the backside. And as I do explain, with his ant colony coming through from Triple Sports Club, their position, their scouting, that has been constantly on the move here. Now 777. They too are on the move. Now they too move forward. 777 pushing through. London now maybe find Septives. That could have been a crucial knock, but instead they miss. Again, they give away their position and the power back through onto Triple Sports Club themselves.
And they're actually highly punishable. The side where 777 is trying to make some moves, they're just making sure that the other side can be just can't be caught off guard, like just kind of running in the open. They're given a lot of sightlines, giving a lot of audio cues, and that support is just too far. There's no way to trade that against a very small window of which Triple Sports Club is peeking through. That is a little bit too bold, if you do ask me.
Oh man, and now 777, they've all fell down. They've all definitely now surely going to fall down. UV is the last one alive. Triple Sports Club. Yes, they have struggled. Yes, it was not clean, but they are able to take this fight. But can they find another knock? UV. They take it down to a 1v1. Septives now versus UV. UV going around the backside, trying to reposition. But they have to take down the scouts. They have to remove the vision. It is still being given through to Septives.
And Siren's also in here as well. Like, so it's actually 2v1. So it will be about pinning that down. But they won the reset. It's not actually a problem. It will be about Septives to react to the fact that they're reviving right now. This actually is just one small angle that's given over to UV for him to turn the tides of this fight. That is insane. And we're down, actually turn this into a 3v1. 777 did not get punished for the way they played that fight.
And the Triple Sports Club, they now just continue to struggle here in this fight. Yes, it did look like it. I thought they actually could have potentially won that 1v1, but we just can't because the revives are too much. Yes, Londa goes down, but 777, that was not clean themselves. But all credit to them, were able to take down those 3 kills. But looking who's been spying on them, Yemen, that entire time.
You know what, like, I think if you're a Hearting team, you would know how to avoid this, right? Like, you would kind of almost always try to hug that eastern coast hill line first, and then slowly scout and enter in. If they run up this hill just like that, knowing the other team's drop spot, they are basically grieving this game. Like, you just cannot do that. Right? So those are, you know, after fighting that, you need to lower that adrenaline and use your brain very clearly. Like, you just need to have the right amount of adrenaline, if I need to really use that term. So 777, like in that one, actually a lot of reflex coming through. The staying calm when things are almost going wrong was important, and UV played that so well to turn the tides there. And we look at these other parts of the map, like ICURT is a team that we want to see more of, and when it comes to these decisions and this type of landscape, it's going to be so tricky, I'd say, because hard for us to break down, hard for these teams to play, and it's hard for them to execute because the landscape like requires so much studying so that you can strike at the best time from the best angle.
Now Risk, Crazy Killer Risk up. Also one of those teams who came through on our first match, Tarzan, with 0 points. Very surprising, considering that when you think about Risk, I do believe it was Risk Esports. We kind of talked about Risk coming into the tournament, but Risk Esports, yes, they played previously in spring, and they are still the same players. So when we look back to how we were also talking about the consistency of players from one tournament to another, in this case, it hasn't worked out. And I want to wonder with you here, potentially why, and what is it that Risk here aren't really doing well to not be able to grab these points?
And you know what, like, talking about grabbing points as well, like Cyrex kind of in that middle there when you want to play a position like that, assume that they know how to hold that ridge, right? And you can really grab some of these pound positions on Sanhok if you know why you're taking it, and just stay in that center, don't have to shift more, and just keep farming. Most wanted would be another team that needs that. So for them to be in kind of close proximity, I want to see how they progress into later stages of this game. Actually, quite a lot of players still alive.
Yemen as well, outside of that zone. Yemen coming down from the mountainside. And I think all to the sake of Yemen, yes, they are here. And I want to look back towards this phase 2 here, Tarzan, because phase 2, particularly when you look towards how they're going to continue to rotate, current victory on the edge of this zone, coming through to what could be also that bridge in towards the L compound. They actually have a really nice position right now, which I think, yes, could be punished if they are delayed on their rotation in the event of a shift down towards that south side. But I do feel that actually, if they continue in this place, Yemen, they're going to find it insanely difficult to rotate down. Yes, they are safe for now, but that safe position not going to be the case. They are on the edge and they are going to struggle. They're going to need to find some way round, and I think the Kurd can, of course, take that advantage, can punish him as well as punishing Champion Gaming. Cyrus Esports will find one. Scythe going to potentially find another. Yes, they do make it potentially free, and now Champion Gaming, just like that, David, down to a solo player. And now then the grenade comes through, will confirm, only going to be cooked, and Paolo looks very, very dead indeed as Champion Gaming's grenades come straight on back, but there comes the extra knock. Yada as well going to be knocked, and as rightly we said, David going to be left on their own. Scythe now made a push. The smoke's not going to save you as Scythe continues to push. Scythe will take the kill, and 3 up for the rest of Cyrax. David left to run.
You know what? That was lovely to see. Like, You remember yesterday, guys? You remember Highland Wolf? Like, it broke my brain. Yesterday's like Sanhok game, we talk about maybe trigger discipline and all of these issues, but Cyrex got the patience. And it was pretty efficient in that setup. They set up there, they try to strike when it's hard for the other team to reset. They make sure they're in close distance and with the angle to capitalize as well. So 3 kills into the pocket. So it's tricky to think whether they can hold that for even longer so that they can get the squad wipe. That will be for us to maybe think, we may need to hop onto the map to find out. But like now that they've been playing loud and farming some kills, that will be most wanted, knowing from their very good comms, I would assume, to say it's Cyrex on that hill.
Cyrex Esports continuing to make that push through. Yes, it took down the rest of Champion Gaming, but most wanted also going to be that next on the target. And I would love to see how his zone really plays out, particularly as we do head towards phase 3, Tarzan, because I am interested in how this has played out. Beautiful, as we can just see this on our screens. And when we do look towards that position, Curd Victory, rightly as we mentioned, they could struggle because One King Gaming are very in the L compound. Look to that later because as the zone shift also heads towards the northern side, and Curd Victory, they actually get punished by Yemen. This should not be the case, but it will be a one-for-one trade, as it will now be a Denny to fall down as well. But that zone, as well as you mentioned, has gone towards the Paradise Resort section. I'll be interested to see, Tarzan, your take on if that team up towards there can continue to defend, as Yemen also trying to defend their own rights to live in this game.
Yeah, I think it was just weird. Like, unless the side of Kurdish Victory opened fire onto Yemen, Solo, who was trying to maybe set up some trap, like, you really should just lay very silent and for Yemen to wait for Kurdish Victory to come out from the compound and just team shoot all of them down. Like, now that they open fire, it turned into stalemate when there's only 30 seconds, like, and you've got 500 plus meters to travel. That's just not great for either team. So that is a little bit of the issue right there. But like, I think props to the side of Kurdish Victory to be able to, take that return knock, actually the kill as well. And that is also a good cover to come through as well, noticing that there could be Overwatch coming through, and that with Kurdish Victory doing exactly that and getting that position for the buggy as well. And they can maybe take this Tequila with that position. That will be a little bit of that chess game once again. And it's great to see them use that vehicle to take some proactive movement.
But the fact that Yemen didn't even spot that, and now they're being naded from inside the blue, they're like, hold up, this isn't one of our own members, is it? Because now Tequila, they jump down in, they look for the kill, Rolex turns around, boom! And then they just strike straight through. Tequila takes the kill. Buggy in the face, was not expecting that, and now Kurdish Victory, 3 kills for them, only 1 left, but inside the blue zone, Kurdish Victory, they will not care, and they will continue just to move further into safety themselves.
I love that. I love that so much. It's not just because it's kills. You see so many teams in the past day or just the past game just staying right there, not wanting to make a move. Kurdish Victory knows there's a timeline. So for them to be the team that's not scared to make some move and make use of the landscape to potentially punish, that was great. I love that they took the initiative for that, and they also executed with quite a lot of confidence. They don't seem indecisive at all. So that was amazing to watch.
I love just watching someone get run over completely unaware. That's like my favorite thing to watch when you come into a night of PUBG. Next to obviously being grenaded in the face is now Foreign Union will continue to push in towards that tri-road compound here, as we do have also Cyrus heading in behind them. I think, as we said, towards that northern side, teams are going to be continuing to push. These small compounds, though, along that road towards Paradise Resort, I would actually... they're probably stronger, you could say, than Paradise Resort itself. Paradise Resort, yes, it's going to be the main compound. 2 problems with that is, yes, it is going to be potentially on the outside of the circle. Yes, it now moves forward. But you can still find a problem in multiple teams jumping into that compound, which will be difficult to defend, on top of the fact that Paradise Resort, initially anyways, against just one team is difficult to defend. And unfortunately, well, Kurd Victory, they won't be defending anything here, because the opposite Kurd team will just strike down too. Inside the edge of the blue, they confirmed it through, and Kurd Victory completely wiped.
And that's the thing as well. You get the cars because you just really want those cars. Like we repeat again, and this is Sanhok, 20 seconds, 500 meters for some of these teams on that edge, and just only one team in Paradise. Of course, for that team being Spill, now that they get a compound that is in the circle again, it will be about finding the correct side of Paradise to hold down. It's very hard. Like you can't really hold down big splits in that compound. And we also still got some compounds on the eastern side, but no one's really there yet. So those who got the vehicle will have the great advantage, but it will be a lot of running and gunning that we're seeing, and the translation, okay, into that heel strat will be so key. But we saw, unfortunately, like Most Wanted being one of the teams closest to the circle was actually blown up. Maybe not all of them, but I've seen at least 2 of them gone.
This is where I wish it Spill back into Paradise Resort don't split up and don't go for that diamond 1-1-1-1 formation in each side of Paradise Resort. Yes, that is fine earlier on, but in this scenario, when you're going to have teams coming up into you from the south and that western side, then take that bigger compound coming up to the back steps of Paradise Resort on that west, on that south front itself, should I say, and actually taking a 2-2 split there, much more effective in the sense that you're not only going to be closer together, unfortunately Champion Gaming also going to fall, but the fact that actually you can cover just only 2 sides, you're covering more importantly the sides that teams are going to come from, because that is the way that the zone has gone.
And you can see on kill feed as well, like coming in from that western side, 777 East actually took down one of Spill. So the hold in Paradise was not off for a great start at all. And this side, Cyrex was continue to play edge hill after hill, and they will be getting another knock in here. 3 teams in close proximity, but Safe will be knocked.
And Safe, Cable, Cyrax Esports only now going to be down themselves to 1 less player on a 2-2 split, and this is a problem. Yes, they take a 2-2 split, but I think for the rest of Cyrax, yes, that could be strong, but in this case here, you don't have the full walls protection like Paradise Resort does have. Example, UK also not going to be able to find their solution in this second match. As now Phase 5 continues to engulf all of these teams. Arena 51 also feeling that pain, potentially some rest by here for Cyrex, but they have to hold on. They have to keep them all side on the opposite, the wrong end of this match. And now Prince trying to do just that. Is Arena 51, they're crawling backwards, they're trying to survive as best as they can, but it's not just going to happen, because Arena 51, they should be next to fall, engulfed now completely by that blue side, potentially Foreign Union. With those fights, however, some way through, in some way into Paradise Resort themselves.
Oh, they need to be really quick here on that revive. We need a little bit of heal as well. We need those 6 seconds. So that will be them really being touched by the blue on that edge there. The decision needs to be made quick. They need to just keep running, maybe just 1 or 2 bandage and keep healing. And then just keep running, keep gunning. And that will be the plan here. They need to keep fragging, keep going. And that is going to be insane. Paradise will be pushed out almost. No, I'm wrong. And that will still be Paradise in. But the fight for that compound will still be so hard. It's not down to the whole compound anymore. If you find that small room, that is a place to be called home. One King Gaming want to take that one, but the response is there from Kelvin.
And Kelvin, they do exactly that. They sneak in from behind that hilltop and are able, actually, as a result, to take those kills. But they, again, have given away the position. So Pling, who did actually find that maneuverability into that south, that western side of Paradise Retort was so strong. That is why they potentially could still survive. They have some form of safety. That zone has gone away, though, from Paradise Resort itself for the most part. And actually, for Spill, who decided to take a backside approach to Paradise Resort, now have to finally join back in, but from the wrong side of zone.
Yes, it's just so tricky right now. And Cyrex need to come in, though. They've got 20 seconds to go. They've got a lot of, good plays, I'd say, like, through the showings, like, from all these players. And this time around, they need to find a way in, yet they don't need to go through it. You've got only 5 seconds. How can you get in and to really balance that out? You've got the revive once again, and the blue is here once again. It's going to be so tricky. And you know what? Like, even for those solos in Paradise, they are loving this. This allows them to maybe get a lot of placement points.
And Cyrax continuing to just try and make that push. Although they are lower on numbers, yes, they were able to find that revives. They kept all 4 players alive, and now they're able to push. They're able to succeed. They're sticking as a team. They take down One King Gaming. We found their entrance inside the zone, but we need to walk through one more set of walls, one more set of gardens. Here's the fight of 777. They do even more just that to most wanted first, so will be eliminated to their hands, and 6 kills dirtily given to them. Cyrax continuing to push over as they move now into 777. 777 need to step up. They 2-1-6 kills as they look for their 7th. Cable dips straight back down. There's no surviving that in the edge of the zone. He will be cleaned up. A second now onto Hype, and Cyrax, they walk into their own demise. Only one left to sight from behind. The Elephant gonna have to toot his way to potential miracle, but that's just not gonna happen. There's no hiding. And now 777, they take their 8th kill of the game.
And this well set up there, really catching all that funnel, and everyone would just need to fall. Sometimes that's just what the circle does to you. That this time round, though, Ica is closer to zone. Although only down to that one player, 777, you need to get a way in because we still got those kind of high ground already taken. So these 3 players need to come in stronger, but already 8 kills on board. I feel like they are almost unstoppable. They are taking this top spot, but only if they don't make any mistakes. That will be Spill actually spilling their own drink and spilling their own hope and chance to go even further after winning that first game.
In Spill, but yes, of course, they are still alive, but they are on 0 kills. They need to continue to find this success in surviving. They are already going to be guaranteed 8 points in this game. So Spill, yes, they are keeping that consistency alive. They keep a beautiful nade, though, into the dip. That's got to be here. The demise of also 777 is now Lakrita grips a second straight into Sauron's face, in behind the rest of the zone. They're forced back. UV blind sending some themselves, but the likelihood of those hitting is going to be very, very slim. And as Spill close in on their final series of kills, make themselves up to 2. They're going to burn as UV continuing to stay silent, but they have found him, and Gordish takes a 3rd. Spill, they move their way in, only going to be 3 teams alive. Spill, they're on the precipice of taking 2 in a row. Icard also down to 1 player, 7 kills. They can't find it. Ave Gordish strikes first. The trigger fire is just quicker from Spill, and now they take their 4th. They take their quiet victory. Yemen is a solo player. Surely this is going to be the game. Surely Spill, they take their victory from one building. They surge to the next part of the building. They surge. Yemen, they step up. They hear the first steps. They found one. They're trying to confirm the kills. They try reload, but it's not enough. It's Spill. Take them down before it happens.
Man, that was... I don't know what to say about that game. Like, Spill... Yes, they got the circle quite early on, and I feel like they could have taken a lot more kills by being there early. But, to know the patience, to know the control, and still be able to hold it down was important. Yeah. And the last bit where not every team can really hold that last push from a very bloodthirsty 777 esports. They need to know the map at least well enough to choke the other team off. So that's the saved up utilities from avoiding all those fights that really helped them in there. Was also great survival, or maybe also luck coming from Yemen esports to have those terrible early skirmish to really send that last player to get 12 placement points and nothing more.
I mean, to be fair for Spill, back-to-back chicken dinners now. We question coming in here, could they find success in maps that they haven't had previously? As we also do jump either way, regardless, into our match rankings here, is we, of course, do look at Spill on the top once more, but very important showing through to Icard, sandwiching themselves between 2 strong teams of 777 and securing themselves those 17 points overall. Beautiful stuff to see.
I think it's great. Like, we just don't expect them to be there, and it's time to feel wrong about that. But they need to continue with what they've done as well. And I think the way that many of these teams play this, down to almost Cyrax, are actually quite nice. They've got a solid game plan, and they executed the way that it needed to be. So we want to see more of that. And the South Spill, I'm uncertain. I think we need to see even more. But we've seen different things coming through strong. Of course, Victory talks about some of those great plays, but we need even more. But because the timing of that, or should I say the nature of the map, allows them to be punished upon entering the zone. That is why it's just so punishing. And vehicles are getting to be, how should I say, not optional anymore. If anything, is more scarce and of a luxury on this map.
In here for now, the rest, I think, of those top teams, you have to look down towards, well, some of those who did fall. And I think, again, the problem of champion gaming, the problem of Arena 51, some of these teams who are consistently, unfortunately, finding themselves in the bottom, how do they recover? Because again, you look towards the mentality, we've played half of their matches so far. They've only got 2 more, but they have a long way to go, more than 2 matches worth of points to be able to get back into qualification.
Yeah, I mean, I need to wait for those like standings, because that actually give us a lot, of perspective. We like to talk about this point, like of the tournament, because these teams have played officially half of their games. Like not those teams that played yesterday, before these teams today who are playing. That is a scary thing to think. It's almost like I'm screwing with their brains right now. Like, maybe without me saying that they wouldn't realize that, right? But we are halfway through for these teams. But it was very interesting because we keep like rotating. We'll face a different group every time you get more data. So every game is not just different by nature of in the philosophical way. It's because we can stack up those odds and there's momentum and all that thing as well. But you know what? I just can't wait to see how this day is going to roll out.
Can't wait to see as we head through to another break. Miramar will be next, but it's just going to be a short few minutes away. Welcome everyone once again to the PMCO UK Fall Split 2021 season. My name, of course, Harlan Wall, joined by Professor Tarzan alongside me. And as we jump through from Sanhok now into Miramar, I think, Tarzan, were really surprised here by, of course, Spill, but I think me as well. I think also the fans as well surprised at Spill, because Spill able to take back-to-back chicken dinners, of course.
It involves some luck, I'd say. But there's so many ways that they could have screwed that up. So I'm just going to say, well done, right? So you know how we can be so harsh sometimes. And it's about how they can make use of that momentum now that they have gotten chicken dinners for whatever reason. Yeah, they've definitely done some of their job to carry that momentum over back to a huge map. And I think it's going to be a challenge, not just for them to really keep that, keep performing. It's for other teams to think about the map. Drop locations, because we've only got from those first 2 days only southern playing paths, very southern playing paths on Miramar. So I talked about this already yesterday. Of course, we didn't have that yesterday. Those teams played already. These two teams that are playing today haven't got any particular or specific info or data from everything maybe to the north of Saint Martin, which can still contain a lot of teams' favorite drop spots.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, to that northern side, this is what I'm really looking to see. Yes, I think we saw a little bit of dip in Dash into that northeastern side, should I say. But towards that northwestern side, right, having to pass on their pods, so even towards really north part of Miramar itself, all of this has been untouched, actually, for the entirety of the tournament, because of the fact we have seen continuously south shifts. And I think for all 3 days now, rightly so, we've seen a zone that has continued to be on that south side in towards Los Leones. On Los Leones, as we do jump through, of course, our way into this map here. Miramar, the next one here, alongside us for the third game of the day. And just even more beautiful than Miramar, or not quite, you could decide, but I agree so, is Xiaomi's beautiful Redmi Note 10 series, where you can enjoy a super fast and lag-free PUBG mobile experience of Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G. And powerful is what these teams are going to have to be, and powerful is what Spill looks, but can they find the hat trick? That is the question. And finally, we get to see a playing path as we hoped and begged for it to appear over Hacienda Pason, over El Pozo, over the Copperia. All of these locations we've not seen before, now going to be unraveled.
This is so important when it comes to providing data for all of these teams, right? Like, unless you're going to maybe Trailer Park Ruins on the top left or Puerto Perito on bottom right, you can basically get to where you want to. Just float a little bit, grab some class to it. It's so nice to these players, to the point that, yes, even if you want to go to Impala, which I expect Cyrex to head towards, like, that should be their drop spot. Even to go there, yes, a little bit far, but you can land on somewhere that no one should contest you, like for vehicles, because that's just how the map is designed. And for this particular playing path, is the textbook easy and nice one, as we will unravel where these teams are going to go. And you know what? I will be thinking about Saint Martin for sure. And I think because we know there were two very historically strong teams, being Concrete and Excuse Me from yesterday, who love Saint Martin and Hacienda area, right? So, like, for teams to still go there today, it's either a bit of an adaptation, knowing that there's no strong enemies, or they just want to test it and get ready for the last day of their respective group plays.
I'm loving some action down towards Picardo, as well as Triple Sports Club once again in the early fights. Could be risky for them. They fall down again. Triple Sports Club straight to the bottom of that leaderboard. But Foreign Union also needs to do a little bit of climbing work here, as both teams putting in the lead work now. Is Foreign Union putting the grenade, not going to find anyone, and equally in these 4 stacks. I think, looking towards the type of this fight, whoever controls really that boardwalk crossing between both of those 4 stacks themselves, that's where I think the team who controls that really will win.
The so-called control, it actually comes through when it comes to getting prior and supreme info, Right. If they've done their homework, look at those parachutes, they would know that the site of FU are all in those red buildings. That means Triple Sports Club can just pinch it completely. Like, you can't get punished at all. Like, you can just hop around on top of these two red buildings and you won't get punished. You can pick up footsteps from above and just be the satellite. You can go around and pinch. Seems like that will be the case right there. This side, though, Triple Sports Club will try to get all the angles as they should, and they are still trying to screen certain parts of the map because the split did not, I would say, let's put it this way, they did not respond to what they can spot out to be what a seemingly clump formation from the side of FU, and that is a mistake on their part. I feel like if they got the information, they split and say they are clumping, let's drop around here and keep eyes on them, they would do this pinch so much more confidently and effectively.
I think the Foreign Union in particular here, ZT, as we mentioned, up towards that northern side, going to be important. I think the saving grace, though, for Triple Sports Club is you have gone for that 2-2 split. So, albeit that it is going to be them 2 in the high top of that 4 stack and actually 2 in the back side to control that boardwalk itself in the event we do start to get boarded, quite literally, they're actually maybe playing it slightly better, I think, than what Foreign Union can be playing it here. I think that I'm surprised potentially Foreign Union haven't actually gone for what could have been a flank round the back end, drop down off of the back side of that 4 stack they control themselves, and then jump into the building that actually Triple Sports Club, control.
You know what? Like, if you see someone in the reds, just drift, run as soon as you can. Like, if they're clumping, like, get into the casino. Like, you need to get into that position to make sure you get sight lines of people leaving this building. I think Triple right now, because they missed that early bit, and I will not continue talking about this like later on. This is really just that very early few. We're talking about 5 seconds of info that you really need to grab and then adjust immediately, right? So, like, for any city starts for early fights, that will be applicable. And El Asaha, we are seeing some love as well. Like yesterday, we've got some teams like dropping here together. One's actually trying to get out very quickly this time round. Red and Black will need to do that. Choxy is not in here as their 4th. I don't know, maybe there's a little bit of fallout. As a team that doesn't have a substitute player, they held up okay in game 1. But game 2, I don't think we've seen them really in there. You need a lot of gun power to make sure that you get something in that map, but we can't underestimate the trios so far. Like today I was just watching PMCO Europe Wildcard, like Night Target, I believe, as a trio they just made it to top 3 with 11 kills.
I think here, for example, UK, they are clearly one of those teams who can make those big kills. I think on the opposite hand, though, it's surprising, unfortunately, only going to be a trio from Red and Black, because this is a team that I really wanted to see more. Unfortunately, you cannot show it once more. Nemo, 69 going to go down. An example, UK striking 1 for the meanwhile, but we have to take a little bit more. It's still 2 more up. Example, UK, they go in for 1. They actually lose 2, but it will actually be the knock regardless through, because they all work together. Kindboy able to take down the second member. The second perpetrator of Red and Black is now Zaza, trying to make amends of the 2 knocks their teammates were able to find. Again, not being together, and only as a trio, they have now found themselves in a 1v4 situation. And Zaza, there's nowhere to go.
And it's just extremely tricky, right? Like when you don't have the numbers, unless you're so confident in your research as well as your skill as a trio, like you can't really take like some of these fights. Just play a rotation game if you need to, but you know what? Like that might be just something we say retrospectively when they failed that. So after all, like we mentioned, like it's hard to say like how El Asa as a city will be, because it's still somewhat northern, although we've seen some drops in there, but the 2 consecutive southern plane paths from days 1 and 2 really made it harder for these teams, and it's actually a bit of an F in the chat. F in anywhere, like for Nas to go down first. Like the only thing that's not would be FU this side, Foreign Union. Man, like they just waited and waited. And that's sometimes what you can do, like in a very passive or also, should I say, reactive style, and just getting that angle as well. I hope Reznov doesn't get punished for this. Hopefully, just luckily, I should say, the AK-47 a little bit hard, like to control in that long range with the holoscope, and that will be Reznov still challenging those shots. Sometimes yeah, that's what you can get. Like the level of confidence that you can get when you are so experienced can be quite astonishing.
Silver, Foreign Union, they continue that fight in towards Picardo. I think that the Foreign Union being kind of stuck here, though, as Reznov, that was a crucial rotation, actually, because now Reznov is on the backside. It makes it a lot more complicated. As again, we look towards, well, what were the positions previously in Hatian or Sanhok? The actual fact that Triple Sports Club tried to do the exact same thing there. Yes, it didn't work out, but it still was a nice idea. And I'm hoping that they're able to learn from the lesson where you do have that 1-3 split, you have the one on the backside, and you're looking to really cut down Foreign Union's escape path. Reznov doesn't have to be that aggressive player. What Reznov has to be is that defector to actually push Foreign Union not into a fight, but actually push them into the trio behind.
Yeah, you know what? Like Reznov should have died there. I would just say for a very simple reason, like to know that someone's been opening fire on that western side of Picardo, you really want to send someone into arena or just get into a particular balcony in the big red so that you make sure no one can escape towards this northern side from that line of building on the west of Picardo, and for Reznov to be able to first get out, then cross the road, then go up this ridge, that is insane. He should have died there. It's not just because like the side of Foreign Union is not doing that work. It's also because the side of Reznov really can't get angles for his team to do anything there. Think about all the open. We talk about baiting shots. Like for him to get up there is a pure risk that really can't get much reward in that exact moment. So they're relying on other people to screw up so that they can do that. Now they are in the circle. That is great for them. But for that type of standoff, with vehicles almost not considered at all by both teams so far, they will need to pray that the zone will continue to be on their side.
I'm surprised that actually Foreign Union and Triple is still here 10 minutes into the game, as Picardo is still part of this zone. Because when you look towards Picardo, not only are people not particularly going to be looking at this compound to rotate into, but more to actually gatekeep from. And actually, Picardo, these two teams, they're going to find it as teams do move more towards the center portion of this new phase 2, how difficult it is going to be to find those easy rotations now. Not because, of course, there is a team next to them, but more because, as we say, there are going to be teams establishing themselves on the high ground, on the information to try actually look onto these compounds and see if they can catch these late rotators out.
Yeah, and you know what? It's also tricky, like for both of these teams as well. Like, yes, it's in the circle. It's still going to be one of those grounds that people may come in and to have a look. They don't even have to come close. Like, based on where they're standing right now, especially for Triple Sports Club, people can just be 300 meters away, just entering the visual rendering distance and just driving and chilling, scouting on the southwestern side, and can still see some lonely players standing behind something, right? And thinking about that actually makes me want to giggle, because that is just like the problem with this like stalemate. You don't want to make any moves, but you need to know the rest of the map is not as stationary as you are. They are arguably going at 50, 60, 70 miles per hour, as we see Champion Gaming using two of the same kind of vehicle. That is also Highland War's favorite type of vehicle, if you don't know it already.
Yes.
So
I love it.
They need to win for the bus.
They have to default, right? I mean, the BP bus, it just converts to an automatic chicken dinner. It just suddenly the game defaults to the end, and then suddenly everyone wonders, well, who actually won? Surprise! The one with a beep beep bus is actually a beep beep bus chicken dinner. That's what you call it. Is BBP CWWD.
Beautiful. We can trademark that right now. Guys, don't write it down. We need to do that before you, okay? Deal? Good, thank you.
Yes.
And that's going to be Picardo Plateau. So, Parker, we talk about this area, how it's heavily rewards those who know first how to control it, know what they know and don't know, play the respective dips, and then strike according to the right time in the circle. And I think that is also going to be quite important with 777 Esports, because they held that position there and could farm the two teams who are probably still just standing still in Picardo. So that is going to be a good position to have, and they're also respectful of whoever might have the relative high ground on them as well. And Icud had one big game that we talked about, right? So you need more than a beat bus, you need friends, and he got one, and that will be also the golden Mirado actually being ever so golden there will allow the reset for Champion Gaming in that position.
Nah, it's not as pretty, Tarzan. Golden Mirado. Who needs the Golden Marauder? There's only one. Who cares? BB bus. That's what we're looking for.
In all honesty, like in those end game is so underrated because not only is it durable, like when it's still drivable, I should say. When
What
they're
we're talking
blown
about,
up,
though.
is
We're
the
talking
cover.
about a BB bus.
BB bus, of course. BB
Good,
bus are so good.
good.
Good cover. And like just great cover. And this is getting crazy. Like, it's actually a bit crazy. I wanted to kind of go into Los Leones because
No.
because I just want to complain, right? How the hell are we getting 3 games in Los Leones finishes
4
out of 4?
4.
Is it 4? Was it actually
Yes, 4.
game?
Every single day we've had a Los Leones partly, even in day 1, wholly in day 2 and day 3 finish. Los Leones, definitely some bias towards it here in the PMCO UK. Is, again, must be scratching their heads. How can we win on Los Leones? I mean, this is when, though, homework, I would actually argue, comes out insanely strong. Because this homework of actually knowing Los Leones and how to effectively rotate versus your opponent so far in this competition can be immensely powerful when it continues again to shift and shift and shift and shift in that same location.
Yeah, you know what? From exactly what you said, I'm just going to pitch some coaching and team ideas. Make today Los Leones Day, right? We'll divide it up. We'll find some OP. Look, like this is OP. Just run around the city. It can be very important, but if you're Gordish there, then probably didn't find the best spot there, just like fell, and then you just got finished. Maybe just Spill not making through this game, like would that be the sign? But you know what, let's not jinx them. But both of these teams, it's time to move. Like we're talking about how they can get third party, especially when they are in the middle of many teams rotation path. Like this is I don't want to see what we've seen right in game 1, I believe, like yesterday, when 2 teams were just on the outside, no one wants to do anything, and then both just basically dies and just kill themselves off. Like we need more of this proactive movement. We know they need to know what's the timeline here, like what do we need to try to achieve, to say the least, before we kill ourselves.
I just feel that they're going to be lacking on that loot side of things when it comes to those later stages, because yes, Picado is a slightly bigger compound, but you're sharing the loot between 8 players, 2 teams, and it's only 1 compound. You're not going to get everything that you need when it comes to surviving a very late game position, like that could happen, of course, on any map, on Miramar itself. So Champion Gaming, when we do look back to a little bit of a brighter side, though, I actually am applauding this position. I like the way that they're continuing to push. I think they still need to do a little bit more to get up to the higher hills, fight those behind them, and grab that position. I'm not sure who that is, but control that spot through. But I think that on the other hand, Champion Gaming is still making that work, and they're making those proactive rotations, stuff like we want to see. It's iCode, yeah. They need to ideally take iCode down. Even more apparently, because it has, of course, gone towards themselves and actually to iCode. But I think actually by doing so just now, if you wrap around towards No Thank You on that eastern side, much more effective, particularly in this moment of time, because iCode, they are so far split, and it's going to be difficult to make that rotation for iCode because they still could be caught in an easy, fast rotation by other teams also moving in, like that Most Wanted.
Oh, that is going to be very tricky for a lot of these teams, because I love the circle. Yes, it looks open, but with the main road to dissect the northern and southern half, there's still many dips that these teams can play. And if you play around this area, you know how OP some of them can be, but you need to know exactly the strength and weaknesses of every single one of them, as well as how to claim them. The timing is so important. Seems like Champion Gaming will use this spot that they've held for the past zone to continue to control whoever's entering from that northern side first. But a lot of teams will be funneled away, so it will be for other teams to catch, and Champion Gaming will also need to think about their next spot.
And here for Champion Gaming, they are making that move to the next spot. They're trying to establish a slight edge position in zone, which is something that actually Most Wanted don't have. So for the rest of Champion Gaming, they are making, I think, a smarter move here by controlling these dips inside of the hill, whereas the rest of Most Wanted, they're going to have to continue to push in. And from that moment, when they do come over the rest of that tip top of the hill, that's when actually Champion Gaming can turn then and punish, because they've already established they're not fighting against the blue like Most Wanted will be doing later on, as well as we know towards that kill feed. We mentioned how Foreign Union, of course, and Triple, they are going to fall behind, rightly so. No expectations as, of course, 1-for-1 of each of those teams do fall in Picado.
Oh my lord! Like I mean, like this compound is so incredibly strong when it comes to sideline towards the center zone and the surrounding as well. No one wants to touch it because it's too OP. People think the people are there, but then Arena 51, a team that usually don't do enough work and preparation for scouting, just casually walks in and claim it. So what can we say about that? Absolutely nothing. So hopefully they can make good use of that because we really need those points. And it seems like both of these teams know the positions, like when it comes to dips, and that's the most wanted with the experience. 2 knocks on them right now. They will get the reset, but it's not going to be easy leaving from here as well. It's so predictable. It's quite linear, that ridge line. So we'll come down to using utilities once again, maybe also forcing some fights upon using those utilities to make sure they clear some enemies on the similar part of the map.
More so forcing bias because actually Champion Gaming's vehicles and mobility out of this fight has been ruined by those grenades. So Most Wanted, they can now start to step in. They know they can have that possibility of a fight. And unfortunately, Champion Gaming was stuck inside a dip. They're trying to defend for now. It's still going to be none for none. Finally, it will be a 1-for-1 trade as Most Wanted do fall down. Hardman as well, going to drop, and Most Wanted, just like that, with a click of a finger, Champion Gaming secured 4 kills.
That is just unlucky. I wouldn't say unlucky. That was not like well planned. I would say yes, the idea to need to clear that team right there, right then is important. But the aggression is not from the dip itself, it's from surrounding. So you need to nade basically behind. So you need to nade the ridge that you are entering through, as well as the one that is behind Champion Gaming, to stop the long-range third-party shots to come through. It's just extremely tricky to prepare for that one. Like, if there's anything, you kind of need one vehicle to say the least, and one person to really respond by spraying sitting in that vehicle. But now that would just be one case study out of many. We will continue to have another shift, and we'll go very hard to the southwestern side when we're running out of dips for some of these teams to play off.
All right, so Crazy Killer Risk up as well, going to fall down towards the south side. Sanhok as well were caught unawares in that south side rotation, so will drop 2 and leaves the door open to 777 Esports, who with all 4 players still alive are beginning to secure those kills, beginning to secure that position inside the zone. But more importantly, who's going to take that position away from Yemen? Because they got this one player situated inside one of the strongest parts of the ridge lines here, inside the zone. But the rest of the 3, where are Yemen playing?
Yeah, you know what, Triple, we kind of know that it's not going to be great for them, right? Like the timing and how they handled the earliest parts of the map. And iCurt here is trying to continue what they've done, because they had a brilliant game 2, and it's time to get more. That's going to be some open shots. The car being below. No, that is the beep bus, but the respawn will be there because they love that bus so much. They need to die for shooting that down. Pablo strikes.
Oh, yeah, they do. I mean, I'm not a biased caster, but when you take down a beep bus, Raz has to fall. I mean, that's just a fact of PUBG Mobile.
I love that. And you can see basically on kills as well. Londa from 777 is leading the board. They have at least like 7 kills on board. And that is just insane. Like, they can slowly play off that ridge as well. There's so many cluster fight. Everyone's just running in, trying to blind crash this compound. So they need those reflexes, quick comms, everything of those basics have to come through.
And as well, those basics going to have to be importantly come through for Yemen, because they're being destroyed on the top side. Look at Arena 51 go. But Arena 51, they fall down actually from the back end. It was a full final frontal push from Yemen that were able to secure those 4 kills back in their hands. So they do survive, but they need to make 3 different revives happen inside the main portion of that zone. But down up towards the northern side, this compound still continuing to be pushed. RLX, yes, they're using a lot of utility, but to no effect, to no avail. It's still heard victory. They're all over their position as well, on literally the first floor of the same building.
Yeah, and it's so tricky now because you can't really say what level of info you have. You just need to play off what exactly you have, and can't really think or hypothesize at all. Like, what's happening on that plateau in that center zone, no one knows. And it's so hard to say, hey, I know this map so well that on this circle in the center, I know where I can find that one small dip. But for sure that you can find is the skill to climb on windows. Raccoon will use his Raccoon skills to make sure that he lands that one. One more for that. The pre-fire come through will be incredibly low. Raccoon continues to strike.
Raccoon cannot find it though, 1 HP, but it's not enough to take through a second. And The rest here of our legs will fall, but now only Curd Victory. They step out. They've got one more player to take through, but can they find that? Can they find a success? Champion Gaming, they're going in one by one. They didn't look at that kill feed at all. If they have, maybe they go in as a full squad. Maybe they take that victory, but Curd Victory themselves will find a one kill. Champion on the backside do take down Wexa, however, and as a result, Champion Gaming, they do strike themselves one back in favor of this fight. It's still a 1v2 situation though, and it's still Aka with the high ground. First floor back to him.
Tricky zone. Extremely tricky. I feel like people need to think about just timing of the utilities. Like, there's so much that you can't complete, like, especially on that northern side. Like, the game plan needs to be extremely clear. And this time around, Yemen actually got a lot of points. Don't forget last game, but you need more than just those placement points. Against 777, you need to have so much more. 11 kills for 777 Esports as they are prepared to take their 12.
And 777, we said, well, we take down teams in the south side. I didn't realize they had 12, Tarzan. They've been smurfing when it comes to this Miramar game, and now they're taking 3 squads down, but smurfing Yemen and Denny straight onto Londa. Wasn't even aware of the fact that there could be a player there, but now a second steps up. Boss will be able to close it through, and Londa will be revenged. Yemen down to 7th position in this game. I curd off the backside. Foreign Union still alive as a solo player. Spill still alive, and unfortunately, of course, the other 2 teams inside that compound still remaining in zone as we shift again to what will be phase 7. And from phase 7, I think then we start to whittle down these teams a little bit more.
It's going to be so tricky. I'm waiting for that shift. If it goes south, it's going to be 777's probably chicken dinner with the biggest amounts of kills so far. Record breaking in this PMCO Fall Split. Like, if it goes the other side, I think there's still a chance to do that, but they need to find the best time to go down because not a lot of covers that they can use, but they have already taken control over that hill and they can actually just punish, get openings or whatnot. That is the power of that squad when you have the full squad as well as the confidence and the taste of blood in their mouth. 14 kills on board. No one can stop them right now. And there's so many teams down to 1 or 2 players. Yes, they've got dips, but you need a lot more. So it will come down to whether 777 can find the pacing still. They can't go too far, otherwise they will lose what seems to be a very deserved chicken dinner.
Yeah, I agree. I think with 777, this is very, very simple, but you have to be effective at taking this chicken dinner. And as they do try to strike down, Foreign Union unfortunately do lose their lives, and that will now be 15. But can they strike it up to 20? Is potentially still possible here for them to do so. Iker is next on the menu, and there's a platter, it's a buffet here for 777. Tack it up to 16. Take it to 17, why don't you? As now it's only going to be 1 remaining for Iker. Yaxi on the backside looks to strike down, looks to punish. They will not find it. Sauron with a help, but the rock even takes it back. The recoil, a bulletin down into straight Iker's face, and now Spill, they too look to step up, but Sauron's waiting. Londa's waiting on the top end. Here, the rest of 777, they've only got 2 players left, but they've got 17 kills. They've got a chicken dinner's worth. They're looking for even more. Londa trying to find a 1v2 situation. The backside, they find a 1v1. Londa 1v1s as well. Jumps over. 777. Destroy Spill. Make it look easy to take down double chicken dinner winners. And now 19. We said 20. Can they get it? Akar's trying to heal. They're looking for the double 20 digit. Zakar should fall to the zone. Will they search for it? However, will Akar even go out? Will just fall. Will die. 19 is all they'll grab.
All they grab. Man,
just a little bit.
That's
just
insane.
A little bit.
You know what? Like the way that they play that last circle as well. I wonder. Like, seems like they are the most consistent team so far. So if they represent the region, it's too soon to say that because it will be. We'll start over again in those finals. But you can see that they're playing in a style that may not work at the higher style. They literally just said in comms, screw the zone, we're going to run out and get every kill. I don't care if you die, if you can kill 2, right? Like it's like that. That's what Sarin did. Like when he literally could have died from just keep running it in the open, but the response is there. And that's just like, man, I don't know how to feel about that one. That was record breaking. I don't think we've seen a 19 kill chicken dinner in the PMCO UK in the history of PMCO UK, because we've done it from the start. We're Inception. We did the spring split, the first one, and now this fall split. And this is the most dominating when it comes to stats, when it comes to confidence, and everything considered.
If not the dominant game on Miramar, easily one of the most dominating games. 777, 34 points for them. A beautiful finish is Spill there to take 13 points, but Kurd victory as well, taking more importantly 18 for them. Champion Gaming also stepping up. iKurd once again stepping up. This is the likes that we want to see of some of these teams who are lower down on that leaderboard, making a name for themselves. I just want to note back though towards Spill, because Spill looked very lost in that situation when it came to the closing of that game.
Yeah, and you know what? Yes, it's just hard. I'd say because they don't want to go up to that hill earlier, and when they really need to, they just need to use it with a car. Like I feel like yes, otherwise you may not even get into the circle, but to enter in the least expected way would maybe do them good to get maybe an extra kill. But you know what? After they've got some points, and that will at least get maybe the first job done to secure a spot in the finals. Because like on the other hand, we see teams that we have hopes for, like Most Wanted, that are like struggling. Like we are ending today with 2/3 of the games done, and they are yet to find some points today.
Yeah, of course, tomorrow we go into the games. It's do or die for those groups. It has to find those results. Otherwise, it's not going to be victory at all. We're not going to find ourselves in those finals. And that's why today, going into that last match, is going to be so crucial, because if they can't find a good result here, they can't establish a good position in that leaderboard, how are they going to be able to find that success in that last day? We're going to have to see who can find that success, though, as we jump through onto Erangel for our last game tonight, just in a little bit of a while. Welcome everyone back to what will be our final match here of day 4 in the group stage of the PUBG Mobile Club Open UK Spring Split 2021, or Full Split 2021 season, should I say here, as of course our beautiful sponsor alongside us, Xiaomi, where you too can enjoy a beautiful, super fast, and lag-free PUBG mobile experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G. And I think coming through, the most powerful Miramar game, if not all PMCO UK history, one of the most powerful, definitely the most powerful this season, coming through from 777.
I think the beauty when it comes to just stats like that is for you to say that that can't happen by accident. It can't just happen by zone luck. It needs to come down in a particular style, knowing how to use the map and whatever position that they decide to take, whether like clump, more split, they knew how to do it. So that was great from them. And one decision that they made that was quite interesting to slowly come in as well as a very proactive one too. You remember how they were very close to that plateau, 777 esports, they kind of just rotated all around there and be prepared to enter Los Leones if it goes there, but they just found the different way in. Of course, like zone did help, but man, they were so strong in that game.
As we do head through to the overall stats once more, to have a little bit of a nosy at how these teams are faring, Tarzan. 7 games done for this group, 8 games done for yesterday's. 777 already on the top by 30 points, and they're not even done just yet. We still got one more game to go, and this is what is so scary considering as well they're Spill and Champion Gaming equally one more game to go too.
Am I doing my maths right? Is that 16 points per game, to say the least? I'm not sure. I'd say around there.
I believe it is.
It's very close, 15 point something, and that is quite insane. Like that, and we can see Team Savage not being able to do that yesterday. Yes, they didn't do it very terribly, but we're expecting quite a lot more. So 777 would be the only team so far that's not just strong, but consistent and strong in a balanced way, I would say. I haven't seen anything too huge of a mistake other than some really hyper aggression in the very early game that could have costed them more. But when we look at the middle table here, we can see Cyrex would be another team who's making some progress. Yes, a little bit stealthy than past game, but you can see the thinking are coming through, right? When we match them with the other teams that we would put some hopes behind as well, they are doing relatively well. Like TSC Legends, after yesterday, not doing quite well. Still, Triple Sports Club, that game was just, I can't say got dropped on in Picado and just caught them off guard. It's like, what the hell is this? And they didn't know how to play that game.
And considering as well that here the rest of Code Victory all the way down to iCode, there is a lot of maneuvering here for a lot of these teams down further in the leaderboard. I think that again we're starting to see these individual games, these individual star plays from these squads, but they're down here because they can't keep that consistency. And I keep going back to it. Like I'm one of these old grannies that just keep nagging on about the same thing, but consistency is so important, because you see that even if a team like Team Savage don't have a chicken dinner, because they are consistent in the way they play, they can still be at that second position. It can beat out teams who have won 3 times before.
Yeah, and you know what, I'm just looking through this bottom right now, because some of these teams still got a chance to propose just out of it, just with one game. And that's it, because I can't imagine being a player to say that, hey, you know what, we are in the last page out of 4 pages, after our second day, and we've only got 1 day to go. You need very, very strong mentals to be able to bounce from that. It's not impossible, because the math did suggest that, and some history can repeat itself. I'm talking about maybe a team like Most Wanted, who just came in so strong sometimes in this last day that when they needed to deliver, right? So, you know what? We are ready to go, Highland Wolf.
We are ready to go as we dip our way through to our final match here, Tarzan, of Erangel.
And you know what? That is the game we play. It's going to be horizontal. It's going to go through Everest all the way to Mansion. I think, let's bring this game back. I like this little game, and I think I'm somewhat correct. This is not hard at all, right? Imagine still being wrong. But no, I love this playing path. Let's bring some stats back up. We've got this playing path kind of many times now, all the way, a little bit off, but kind of horizontal, I would say. So the reason that I'm saying this is we've seen this playing path from left to right or right to left. This is at least the third time, if not the fourth now. So if you still struggle to find your splits, unless someone's changed them, if someone's just played their own game and you can't really adapt to it, you need to work harder. Like, that's it. Not just playing the game harder, spray harder, and warm up more. No, look at the game, spreadsheets, write things, and then prepare.
And when we look towards this zone and this playing path, or should I say playing path for now, the central position here, again, you're looking towards the changes of those who played more importantly on the south side. So the likes of Arena 51, Cyrex, who wanted to initially drop down instead of Novka, how they're going to change should just be, again, that some position. You see them taking a slot down towards Pachinki, towards Ferry Pier, but I'm actually very intrigued at how this fight should play out from those over towards the Everest side. Now, Everest, of course, it did move there in the first match, but this time around, as it goes towards the South Island, how these teams from that northern belt are going to be able to continue to move so far down and cross over to that Sovnovka Island. You do have those flanking sides, like Primorsk, for example, but equally you do have those straight paths that you can just see going for those kills, trying their best to go for it. Is here also Red and Black trying so hard to find first kill? They will be able to find it, punch them down. You don't even need a gun.
You know what, like, yes, I think they listen. Yes, you need early cars, but you need to be very careful of keeping an eye out on those parachutes as well, and just turning this one into a trio very soon for yourselves. So this is also interesting, right? We've got somewhat off north playing path and then a very southern phase one circle. They don't complement each other at all. So we need to see, once again, pacing of rotations in phase one really show the styles of the teams in their gameplay. And so I think it's also interesting when it comes to having Cyrax and still wanting to head towards Southern Island pretty early, because they shared some teammates before, and 777 will head towards Novo. They need to kind of go through farm though, because we know Triple like that spot, and they have been, some of these players have been punished by trying to get those cars close to that main road, wanting to go to Novo early, and they had that experience. I hope they know how not to do that now. And this time around, God, please just don't hurt my brain anymore. Allow these teams and grant them the strength and the IQ to get some really sensible action, right? That makes sense in the macro play of this game, because like, if I see maybe three fights, 6 teams, stuck somewhere outside and not being able to be wrapped up before they all die to blue, I'd be extremely disappointed.
I think overall, considering here is Champion Gaming coming as well onto 1kg, both important for these teams to be able to take this victory. Champion Gaming are performing slightly better today, and unfortunately for 1kg, Trojan does find a revive, and as they step over, Yaya might just find themselves trapped. There's a backside. They do immediately strike him down. Instantaneous reactions as now Yaya takes a 13
no way.
Does he get it? Yaya with a Uzi, a 1v4 straight onto 1kg.
Oh, my brain, man. Okay, they definitely did one thing. Right, I think they made sure they got all the info, and they would say they are all in there. And Yaya did a few things that was crazy. Opening with the nade was brilliant. And that, if that was not nice enough, he tried to vault over the wall and then bring that joystick back down so that he can reverse that animation to see whether he can bait some shots or movement. He didn't get much, then he pushed anyway. That's where he could have gotten punished. But then he just delivered the drop shot, second knock, and just keep coming in. But the timing of that could be off as well if his teammates are not coming in, but his teammates were. So every bit of that movement can't exactly be fault, other than the bit where he really vaulted over the wall and didn't get knocked there. Like, otherwise, it was brilliantly played. And these early actions with those early efforts into having some more confirmed info was so key. And that would be One King Gaming. Maybe it just slump. Can't really say a slump. I feel like they haven't really been up at the leaderboard at all. And to come in that way, to react, to panic, and end up in a situation where they all end up in one warehouse was a big no-no.
I mean, here for 777 Esports as well, coming off of a big, massive game over in Miramar. I'm now interested to see how they can futurely control this game. Of course, they are going very risky in towards this compound, just coming off the eastern side bridge, and where we is going to be that ability to gatekeep those rotating. I think they actually it would be slightly easier. Oh, unfortunately, they might be able to find one. Hold my foot here. It's now 777 Esports. UV does strike one, does go behind, but will not be able to get behind the railing in time. Will be a one-for-one trade. Zaza looking for the complete first. Will be able to find it, punches him out. That is a little bit of disrespect considering that you are being fired upon from the rest of 777. Does instead just take them through. And now the red and black squad, they have only trio here face up against the solo player of Sauron. And I think had actually 777 committed to that position a little bit harder and actually put all four players down in that location, they could have easily found those kills. But instead, because they went for that 1-1 split, they were always going to be at a disadvantage.
It's not just 1-1 split. Like I feel like the brains are still in looting phase. Like Sauron's like he stopped. Ooh, and you know what? That is exactly what. Oh god! Like okay, the support eventually comes in, and we talk about setup, guys. So they know for this circle as a Novo team, they want to loot up and then grab those kills, right, and get that bridge control. But UV would just be there so much earlier than anyone else, not thinking that some teams could rotate in that time. Like that timing was actually great from red and black. Like if we're talking about even PMPL lobby, that could happen exactly at that time. And 777 to want to half set up and get punished for that, that is the least that they should pay, right, for making that decision. But now the aggression for sure comes through as they send in more to just choke off this bridge.
Yeah, right. So they distract with a vehicle. Boss comes in for the backside. And when Black, he had nothing absolutely left for those 3 kills to go over. But it should never have been UV falling down. I think that with a zone like this, you clearly making an early rotation because it is 50-50. Don't expect that teams won't do the exact same thing to you as well. And that's why if you are going to be aggressive, you need to commit to that play. That's when we sort of look at a team who can be great on paper and can be good performance-wise too, but as soon as they start to make those individual plays, they don't focus their strength as a team, which is what has been their success, then you start to see those cracks form. And that's why 777 potentially that could in the future of this match bite them back in the behind, because they don't have those 4 players like other teams will have entering in.
Yes, and you know what? Like, so many ways that these teams need to think about to enter the zone, because that bridge control is just very textbook, right? So if you're a little bit slow, no problem, then take a different way. But to tank the blue, but when you also didn't have enough loot, makes us wonder why you would be so slow in the first place, right? So that would be like looking at our Alex, not a team that we have a huge impression of so far, other than being mediocre. So we need to look at those stats once again to see where they are sitting at. But this zone, after all, is going to be quite tricky for a lot of these teams. It's good to see some of these teams entering at the right time. At least I would assume that they've done the homework and now coming into the certain island. And let's pray for something spicy. I want something that's still inconclusive, so that teams need to think. And yes, I'd say inconclusive, but still, you know, the favor has been chosen. It's still going to be military based. So once again, typical classical hot drop. Do you know it better, or do I? So that is going to be the test right here for this last game of the day.
Already teams, though, forming out positions on the south side of the South Island already. Very quick to do so. I think maybe a little bit too quick here, as Yemen also find themselves up against Crazy Killer Risk up. Obviously, both teams thinking they were going to be individual squads on the back end of this. However, instead find themselves still fighting early on. I feel that coming in here, Yemen Esports, again, one of those teams who I really thought coming through the first match or two, that it would be really impressive to watch. But Yemen now coming into this day, they've really fell down. I don't know what it is. Maybe it might just be other teams improving and them starting to slip from that initial burst and that initial lack of expectation of what Yemen can bring. But now that Yemen are here in the second day, they're not doing just that. Is I do have to pause on that answer though, because Most Wanted are here also against Champion Gaming.
Very weird position to fight. I mean, it's completely understandable. Whoever moves towards that bridge first will get sprayed down. But you need to respect every dip from every side, and still the risk of third party for whoever's going through. And you want to go through that bridge in a time that works for you. The problem is if you don't take that, the rotation off the other side is just extremely tricky. It's almost certain that it's going to be a Southern Island zone. So both these teams need to think how to do this. And I just can't imagine being them right now. It's a little bit of a very 50-50 situation. So hard to bait anything out. Also hard to predict whether you get held by another team on the other side. So Most Wanted would just go for a longer rotation. That's completely fine. If they've done it even earlier, I think it would be even better, because it would mean that this plan B that they're going for eventually will have more leeway for them to turn it into plan C if need be.
I think I love that decision coming through from Most Wanted, just being decisive and saying, look, there's no way we're going to get across this without a fight, and this fight isn't going to be clean. We're probably going to lose members, and there could be still another team coming off the other end of that bridge while 777 Boss is there. So you just go towards the western side, and instead you actually are able just to survive a little bit. Boss is holding in form for now. Is on their own, though. This is a solo player.
You know what? I think to just stay very silent would be enough if he's got a car parked on the other side of that bridge. I think Champion Gaming was trying to do something good there, but they didn't think through that. They are trying to bait, so then you want someone to drive in the straight line so that the person is more tempting to peek and shoot, right? But whoever's trying to lead with the car was so confident to he's so aware to make that zigzag that Boss would just not take the shot. But that's also good control coming through, and that will be Champion Gaming still doing what they need to do. So this is what I love, not too thoughtless. That the thoughtfulness coming through is important. So but this time with that shift, 777 need to think about how they gather up their firepower, because they want the spots. They are strong in holding spots, but as a trio now split a little bit, they need to really think that through. The 2 knocks come through on that bridge, as we can see on that mini map.
And unfortunately there for Champion Gaming, Boss, they may have struck, but Boss being straight on back. Champion Gaming, Yaya will fall, and there comes the 4th. So David should be at least last ones remaining. Yemen just getting smashed by their own grenade there, as he did not cook that one quick enough. Most Wanted now sending in the firepower. They went and double backed, but they found themselves contested in Yemen. They take one straight through onto 12, but not before it's a 2-3 drop, and Hardman stepping up when it counts in the final player. And Denny gonna get struck down, and Most Wanted did take 3 kills.
The control there, the clarity in his ear canal still after 3 knocks, and just heard it. It's everyone's just not next to me. The control was still there, from Hartman to say, I don't bloody care. I hear that last guy running towards me out 20 meters away, and I will pre-fire that. That was a great way to wrap up that fight. Yes, it's a very tricky position on the map still, but that is some much needed points coming into their pockets.
And here now Cyrax as well. They jump through on that South Island, of course. Now we look towards how teams are going to control that South Island coast on the north of the island itself, because you can't really find a position when it has shifted so far up towards the north side. Unfortunately, Cyrax Hype finding that out the hard way, as they do just stop in the midst of the fire from Triple Sports Club and just get knocked. I think this was very interesting from Hype. Yes, they are low. If they go up the high ground, they can easily be spotted and shot down, because you are going to be accelerating slower up that hill. But when you stop completely, you are easily going to be a still target for Sceptives.
And I love how Triple Sports Club been playing this one, right? They are a farm team. They came in here so early that 777 couldn't respond to it. They continue with the looting phase kind of in that southern island. Just took these power position early on, and suddenly they were the team that get the most options in there. So these this is what I mean by this sort of circle for this playing path, showing us a lot of data and how teams play. And if you can factor that into where teams like to drop and match that on the same table or spreadsheet against their style, you can kind of predict when they will appear when, right? So that would be the very important way of studying the game. But 777, just making sure that wherever they go, if they encounter something, they want to get something out of it. Yes, they lost one player, but they now have got 10 kills. Londa once again being extremely bold that the overwatch was not enough because the sightlines was not complete from that ridge, and that will be them down to duo this time.
I just feel like it's a little bit of disrespect, honestly, coming through from the rest of 777. Yes, it got 10 kills. Yes, they were very adept in that previous match, getting 19 too. But again, it's the way they play. Very, very aggressive. Is also most one to delve into the trap of Foreign Union. Kelvin on the backside is going to stay slow. They did find the knock onto King. Dronza and now ZT close in. But here, most wanted, they're aware of what is happening. With that extra knock, they know the extra members are nearby. They will confirm King, but can they take the rest? Is now Topspin moves 3-2 situation. Topspin goes way off the map. I mean, Topspin's on a journey. It is now phase 4. It did look to clearly move towards that south island. That is why they are jumping. And Dronza is looking to take advantage of that. But most wanted don't want this fight. They want to get across this island. They know if they can get across the island first, they strike first onto Foreign Union on the opposite side. But Dronza will not let that happen.
It's so weird. Like, Foreign Union is playing in a way, a style that hurts someone without benefiting themselves. And I don't like it one bit. I feel like it's not the best way to play PUBG. And just kind of just changing, I would just say off meta, shall I? Like just doing this at this time in this part of the zone with no other so-called way out for themselves. It's almost like, playing classic games, but you know, I never know. Maybe they're redefining the competitive scene, but if that is actually the case, if they're en route to do that, they better have very good results, you know, in this lobby, because that doesn't seem to be the case so far.
Yeah, I mean, if you're making something work that isn't supposed to work and you're standing consistently with these good results, yes, that is redefining the meta. But when you are just doing it for the sake of doing it, and it does feel like more of that classic style of play, and Spill here also going to be that 3-1 split. They are trying to split themselves a little bit thin, considering that there are many, many squads around them. Also Triple Sports Club, even thinner, however, as they are going for what will be this 1-1-2 split, but two members directly in the center. What is this going to be a split based off of them trying to maneuver way into zone? But Reznov still finds the knock anyways, and now Spill also down with that middle player through. Here comes the cavalry from the Torvin side, and Triple, they will just help to take down the rest. Reznov looks back onto Gordish, makes sure nothing funny happens. Reznov, they might have found Gordish. You might be looking for that assassination. Kelly Boy on the opposite side. They're trying to drive. They're trying to catch out the information of Spill. They're trying to draw out the bullets. They're trying to draw out the pre-fire. Scepter's still trying to scout more. Kelly Boy will not give a single bullet, but now they will find him. Now they will knock him. And now Kelly Boy going to go down, and Spill again just looks a little bit broken when they look to take these fights. There's Triple on the backside. They're closing in on Gordish. Yes, they find one knock onto Reznov. Shouldn't be the case. Yes, Triple now. Naz will fall. Maybe if they can find something to save themselves, they do take Lakrita one down. Naz will be dropped before the revive takes place. Reznov also low. Lakrita could pull off something beautiful, but it's going to take a lot, considering that again that zone moves towards the northern side. Most Wanted also going to be eliminated on that kill feed, and that you have to really think about moving backwards to safety. Albi though knocked as well, and this is disaster for Triple. Only now a solo player, you're getting another kill. Scepters is slowly getting there, but in the meantime, while he crawls his way to the top, his entire team's fallen.
It's just really unfortunate at the same time. You can see Triple's doing the work here. They play that mid-game so confidently with those really good splits to tighten up when necessary, apply pressure using Ridgeline to scout, but the constant threat of third party that they cannot predict from those other sides of those mountains, just causing so much damage to themselves. But I can see a lot of good things still there in the way they play this game. But now down to one player, that's really show a lot of strength as well. I'm expecting triples to still do okay with that solo. As after is that 1v1, and that southern side is quite empty. Like a lot of teams get punished. It won't be an intact team. Like looking at this very dreadful circle, Septis won't be able to land that shot, but that means he can maybe move in. That will be a stop coming through as well. The audio kill should be clear enough for Septis. Now he's going to pull that pin on the nade.
Pin nade should land. You gotta imagine if it's on point, it takes down Lakrita. No, it wasn't. So actually, Lakrita does survive. Memory also not quite on point, but does stop the push coming through from Scepter. Scepter is slightly slower when it comes to the healing. That's why they reset. That's why they go for the first aid kit. They want to have their HP, of course, as they continue to push in. They want to have their HP more important because here comes the blue zone. Phase 5 is coming closer towards them, and Scepter will be caught first, and that's why the Creeper is waiting, because they know that Scepter has to make the first move.
And that is just going to be some mind games, right? Like, and Septis played that game long enough, but you want to play for the long game, to live. And when he has no first aids at all, that is going to be slowed down. But it's also Lakrita just going on foot. Can't disagree with that. Like, sometimes you don't want to make too much noise, but you need to be very lucky for someone to not be on that side. Just need to play what's in front of you, right? So we actually, in the circle here, we have a lot of teams that we didn't expect to survive in this lobby. That is now in here. And I love that, because we're going to see a little bit of a different leaderboard after this game.
Encouraged victory as well, just striking down one on the south side against them. It's Arena 51 and the rest of iCurd. This is where the third parties really start to struggle, because all of these teams approaching on the south side who were slow in that rotation. Curve Victory, more importantly, did go for a very wide split, but it didn't work out either. That you then get punished because you're not understanding, as we say, the information of where these squads already are established inside of the zone. And as Phase 5 now shifts through, Arena 51, this is their turn to shine, and this is their turn to take the game.
And you know what? Like, there's more that they need to do, though. Like, Arena 51, just historically, they haven't given me enough confidence to say that they can win a game, although the circle goes to them. So that is the issue right now. And I want to be extremely wrong here, but they really need to make the work out. I'm looking at that mini map like a hawk. I want to see whether it makes sense from those small arrows that's come through, whether they are controlling that spot as they need to. Seems like they are still trying to do 360 for absolutely everyone. That is not the best way to hold this spot. And I don't want to be right here, but they really need to prove themselves.
And iCurd as well, trying to now continually punish. Yes, you're punishing those on the south side, but let Arena 51 deal with all of that nonsense, because you need to get into zone as well. And Arena 51 doing just that. They take down Curve Victory. The rest of a second team of RLK move in, but RLK just immediately dropped as well. And Arena 51 to say thank you very much. 7 kills through 4 of them. Xerox as well as one, scoring a few for himself. Arena 51 are defending. 7 kills for now. We'll take another onto iCurd. Raz also going to drop. This will only delay the push forward into zone even more. And this is so open, so expansive. And with only there a duo and a trio, a broken trio at that of iCurd, this really, really should be the game for Arena 51 Esports.
I need to see a next shift, though, because we can see. But that zone, that shift was a bit stupid to me. You know why? Because although many teams died, I see no smokes at all on the field. Like, no one's trying to fought for a spot so that they can get in a little bit earlier and easier. Arena 51 would now be faced with that pressure, and that was none other than example UK. They started this tournament very strong, especially from the side of Naka, although he's not alive right now, but the team seems to still know what they can establish and accomplish as a duo.
An example, UK, they have to step up as well, because yes, they had a good first game. Yes, they were starting to get points, but in between this series tonight, they did not step up. They started to fall down. So here, Echo Captain, they need to find these points. Yes, they will grab at least 10. But they do find one. They find an extra kill. That is important. Is Xerox now going to be the solo? But Rekko so low. Reloads resets. The revive comes through from behind the building. This is the time for Cats, and this is the time for Rekos to try advance, but we have to be, of course, careful. There is cover fire coming through from Translate, coming through from the duo inside the house, off the rest of his zone, but for Arena 51, meanwhile, while they fight example UK, the zone went to the northern side, and iCurve is stepping up. iCurve is wanting to steal this game away. No, thank you. Jumping in onto the front line. Katzen going to be sprayed down, going to be knocked. Will be a 1-for-1 trade, but Reko will hear this coming through from example UK. No, thank you should be able to step over the top, but no, thank you gets knocked as well, and now maybe iCurve are in a little bit of bother because the revive's coming through from example UK. There's no one there to punish. And it will be a success as now Zaid moves through.
Why?
But will also just get knocked. Will potentially get bursted down. Another spray of bullets lands, but in that vehicle, they will only get blown up, staying way too close towards it. And it's a double knock for iCurve. Unfortunate here. They could have won this game, but it might not be the case anymore. As well as it's a solo player alongside Yaxi, but they're slightly split. There's no real team fighting to be done beside each other. As Arena 51, still a full squad. Example, back to the duo once again.
And that is just mistake by iCurve, like, especially when No Thank You was getting knocked. Like, sometimes you just need to start giving info, you know? I know a lot of players who gave reactions and not info in those moments. Like, if you didn't say how he got knocked, you just sent your teammates into the same like, ending, right? Luckily, Raras came in to save the day, but that is still not a great position. It's the same Rich where they got 2 of them knocked and now 1 of them dead. So it's between, you know, bad and worse. Like, I want to see better PUBG in this end zone, and Arena 51 now actually have the numbers as well as the momentum coming through. This is the time. Like, this is, if they get to qualify, this will be the game that can keep them up there.
Ooh, but it's a knock straight on back towards them. Demon getting knocked, and this is not a time to be knocked because that blue zone's coming in. They should secure second place. His captain caught on the edge of the blue. Will try to punish Arena 51 a little bit more. Won't be able to do so. Has to keep crawling, but it's not going to be there. It's Reko. Captain does fall. Example UK third, but who will take second is Arena 51, who made a revive through. 10 kills so far. Xerox down, but still needs revive. The zone goes to absolutely no one, and now Arena 51. We need to step outdoors. We need to step into the brave new world of Erangel. But iCurve, Side, Miraz, they are there. They are waiting. They are the predators. They are the bears inside the wood. They are looking to maul down onto Arena 51. And we still stay silent. Silently waiting as now Translate continues to wait, continues to hope. In the next 10 seconds, some solution will come.
You know what? Like, that's one way that iCurve definitely can still win this is to throw some smokes and choke at Arena 50 lines, Arena 51 sight lines. But like right now, because both teams need to move, Arena 51 will try to make it an equal fight by smoking outside, and this will actually give Yaxi quite a lot of priority.
And now Yaxi on the cross angle looks to take down Arena 51. Xerox will not be fired upon once more. The trigger discipline coming through from Yaxi, waiting, choosing for the right moment, but the smoke makes it slightly harder to see those Arena 51 members. They're trying to cloud the vision, but they strike from outside of the white puffs. Is now Arena 51. They take one through. They confirm Zide, the 11th of the game. They stealthily approach the next as Raz sprays. Raz gives their position as a result, does finally take down Translate from the back end. They hear the footsteps, they move around from the rest of the tree. A reposition game coming through from the rest of iCurve as PU also now caught on the edge of that blue zone. That revive dangerously coming through as well, considering here comes phase 8. Raz so low though, can maybe put something down before they get flushed through. Can they find a knock? No, they will not. Raz will also be confirmed, but does provide vision. But can Yaxi pull off the 1v3 miracle? You've got to believe perhaps not. They will be caught. They will be deaded.
Oi, they found the compound and they found the win. You know what? I feel like it's only the second win I've ever seen by Arena 51 across the tournaments. And it was not like any flashy win either before, but this time around the stats at least came through. Like there's a lot of micro things that we can talk about, very tiny things that can make it so much cleaner.
Yes.
But I feel like for the first time in the whole tournament, no, not one, multiple tournaments, to finally feel like this, you're so close. I would understand why they would play that a little bit slower. After all, they at least didn't forget to smoke up, right? Like, so that is just one other thing. But congratulations to them. That was a much needed win.
Yeah, I think Arena, of course, did step up as we check out the overall standings here one more time as we look at that game and how it has impacted. 777 up towards 135 points. Savage, they're also at 97. Of course, Spill do rise their way up. And with that, of course, example, rise their way up in game into that first page of the leaderboards into 8th place, taking 3rd overall in that final match. So we do again start to see a little bit of these second group of teams coming back up towards it, but it's again a very even split with 1802 Wizard, and Savage, all 4 of those teams playing actually yesterday.
Yeah, and you know what? There's so many things that is exciting. I think, especially looking through this first page, like some teams are just, kind of constantly there, but have made some mistakes. Other than 777, who's been so constant and so like nicely executing plays, like many of these other teams are a little bit of a hit and miss. So that means some of these other teams just need to make sure they found like 1 or 2 things that they can really quickly fix and really get themselves in. I mean, after all, they should be safe if they keep this level of play. They just need others to suck at the same level, to be fair, like compared to how they played the last 2 days. But you need to play your best game. After all, like we talked about the importance of the practice when you have done your homework. So like now that we are back to, a little bit of square one, everyone got 3 days of gameplay to analyze. Let's hope that some teams really come out of the blue and really take charge.
Yeah, I think that for sure we need to be able to find something to really take charge of these games here. But when you look towards the change in the points, more importantly, there isn't a lot in it. I mean, you look towards, 10th position up to 71 points. Only now, 25 points behind is 17th position and 14th with 60. 17th there as well. Looking down even further towards, that 50-point mark. 21st position, 49. 11 points in between 14th and 21st, should I clarify here. So there isn't actually going to be a lot of margin for error for a lot of these teams who, of course, want to continue to look to qualify in these final 2 days.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be tricky. Like, so tricky for many of these teams at the bottom. Like, if somehow one team, if we just go quote unquote old school quote, got blessed by the zone, got zone blessed, and get a good game, like with 15 points, let's say, not even the chicken dinner, but double digits, then they would be very close, very, very close to that line. But you can't rely on that one game. But when it comes to, it's a matter of the math, the actual point difference there. Like when you've only got, for all these teams, one day, 4 games to prove, like you suddenly start to feel so nervous potentially, right? And especially if you're playing tomorrow and not the last day, you just need to wait and hope some other teams screw up.
Yeah, for sure. I think that definitely is going to be a very intriguing, a very interesting final 2 days here on the group stage, where we will, of course, see groups A and D, I believe, take place first, and then B and C on Sunday. Same time, same place. Do not go anywhere. We'll see you then.